southbound. Big delays this morning on the Blue Line because of a shortage of available staff. 63 at O'Hare, 55 Waukegan, 67 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT smart connected scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
When you're in chronic pain, you're miserable to be around, and so are the people who have to watch you suffer. So stop it. Do something about it. Now's the time to be proactive and take care of yourself. And there's another solution other than surgery or drugs. Call QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics, they have a cutting-edge treatment that revitalizes your joints with your body's own healing process. So if you have arthritis or if you're in pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, back due to an injury, you need to call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation and get your life and mobility back. You know, I've been to one of their clinics. I met a few of their customers. They were smiling from ear to ear, so happy to have their mobility back, pain-free, without surgery. They have locations all across the Chicagoland area, including new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call for a free consultation, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel Services, more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. SuburbanWeldingandSteel.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
A violent crime is committed every 24 seconds. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists to provide you with firearms education, training, and access to self-defense liability insurance, so when trouble comes, you'll be ready. Over 800,000 Americans trust the USCCA, and right now, there's an exclusive, limited-time offer for radio listeners. Go to defendfamily.com to get a free family defense guide, a survival secrets training video from a retired FBI agent, and see all the benefits of membership. Go to defendfamily.com now.
This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auctions. Donley Auctions wants your stuff. They have buyers. They need your items. If you're a collector, contact them and find out the market value. If you know a collector, tell Donley about them. If they sell it, you'll get a Donley's finder fee. Cha-ching, cash in your pocket. Randy, what are you on the hunt for now?
Hi, Sean. I'm currently looking for old cars and motorcycles for my August auction. Any pre-1970 vehicle, running or not, in any condition, I can sell for you. It doesn't have to be a show car to sell for big money. I have clients from around the globe that buy from me on a regular basis, and they're eager to buy more. I also offer pickup service to make it easy for you to consign at my auction.
Do you have any of these? Call Donley. You know anyone that has any of these things? Call Donley and get Donley's finder's fee. Donley Auctions, 815-923-7000. Tell them Sean sent you.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So what can visitors coming to our fair city look to enjoy while they're in town for the DNC when, all the workers of the world unite? Actually, they're really mainly united around the populists, not so much the Bolsheviks. But anyway, when the new Bolsheviks come to town to fet Kamala, what can they expect to enjoy? You can hide the problems that have exacerbated under the deprosecution, defund police, decarceration, political class in Chicago, but only for so long. Courtney Spinelli is a reporter for WGN. She posted this. This is long, so bear with me. Usually I'm on here sharing other stories, but today I want to share my own to encourage everyone to be especially vigilant of their surroundings. Respecting an ongoing investigation, I'm sharing what I can. Okay, Courtney, let's tamp down the FBI business, will you?
I know. Well,
around 1 a.m. on Sunday, I was walking in River North near Ohio and State. I was assaulted by a man who spat on me. I was able to chase him down while on the phone with dispatch and flag down officers in the area. He was immediately identified by responding officers. Given several circumstances, including the state he appeared to be in, I decided I would give him some grace, file a report, and consider some charges later. That was my choice, not the officers. The next day, after realizing how serious the situation was, I went to the area to try and find some video of the incident. I stopped at the parking garage not far from where it happened. Again, this is Ohio and State. On my way out, elevators weren't responding, so I took the stairs, and as I rounded the corner at the bottom, the same individual jumped out of a hiding place. I felt the only safe choice was getting out into a public place. When passing him, he slapped my buttocks.
no, he did not.
The buttocks. And slammed the one-way door shut. He took off as I called 911 again. I was informed he was taken into custody the next day following a similar incident in another part of the city. He was booked on several charges, all still pending. Unfortunately, he was released again. Please be cautious if you see him, and she posts pictures of him. I've subsequently learned that the suspect has been arrested more than 80 times in Chicago since 2016 for various things, not limited to battery, theft, criminal trespass, indecent exposure. The list goes on. He was arrested on felony charges in May, but released last week, on electronic monitoring. At the time of what happened to me, I was aware officers were familiar with him, but not his history, or I would have pursued prosecution before the second incident ever had a chance to happen. I wanted to especially thank the Chicago police who responded and took the reports from me seriously, along with the detective on my case. As baffled as I am that he got the jump on me not once, but twice, this wasn't my fault, nor is it the fault of anyone else who's ever found themselves in a similar situation. I don't know what the judge's justification was for releasing him on electronic monitoring or what these parameters look like. What I do know is this should open the door to the conversation surrounding mental health resources and where those lie for folks in the county. I'm okay both physically and mentally, but this doesn't change my sense of security, but I will be extra vigilant. I love the city, the people, and it's unfortunate when anything like this happens, but it isn't exclusive to Chicago. Thanks for reading. Please be safe and vigilant. Big city living.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, the fact that she was told he was arrested, re-released this afternoon, assaulted another victim, reportedly being held due to violating the terms and conditions of his previous probation. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
And the takeaway from this WGN reporter at the end of it is, now you have to recite the lines. Recite the lines. I love the Chicago. I love the people. This doesn't just happen here, and we need mental health resources and more social workers. No, I mean, she is a member of the Chicago Press Corps, so I wouldn't expect any better given the newsroom in which she operates. If her mind wasn't poisoned before she got there, it certainly has been now. So there's two pieces to this. One is just the quality of life. This isn't, the most egregious crime anybody's ever heard of, but it goes to the larger quality of life. And we wait till this person who's been arrested 80 times, including for violent crimes.
Right.
And things like robbery, battery, those are violent crimes. And all it takes is for the next time him to pick up a log from a Christmas display and knock somebody over the head with it walking down the sidewalk and take somebody out permanently. Because we're not serious about removing people who are repeat, endemic threats to the public order. And this is what she found out. But then the default by this feckless population in Chicago is, but
it won't happen to me. That's what.
No, not won't happen to me. Big city living. When it happens, it's big city living because it's also happened in other places. That's the sort of the rationalization that goes on to, I don't know, I guess to get through the day here, because there's so much fatalism about the way things are and the way things look to be for the foreseeable future. There's just no political will to change anything. So as we continue to say, I certainly do, you can either try to change things politically, or you can try to survive. Find the willpower to stand up for yourself, or learn to bob and weave. And as this reporter says, be extra vigilant. Goes to the same place. Oh, well, he's probably gone now. He's still there.
No, still there. Still committing the same type of crimes.
A related story, 2 men charged with attacking and robbing a 60-year-old man in Uptown last week. Are those nonviolent crimes? Is that Nixon's fault? 2 men charged with attacking and robbing a 60-year-old man in Uptown last week, sent home with nighttime curfews.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to abide by their curfew.
That'll learn them.
My God.
After prosecutors decided not to ask a judge to keep them in custody pending trial.
Why? Because of the Safety Act?
Well, they're just kids being silly. It's a 19-year-old and 2 16-year-olds that were arrested for beating up and robbing a 60-year-old man. Nonviolent crime. They're kids being silly. It's the summer. Yeah. The droogs out there. And this
wait
was
till school starts. It'll all get better because those kids will be in school too.
Jumped, beaten, and robbed at $25 for $25. Prosecutors said the group kicked and punched the man in the head and body before taking his cash. They robbed a man at gunpoint.
They could have killed him.
It's a nonviolent crime.
That's such a violent crime. What are they doing?
And be vigilant. Yeah, you better be. with the people you in Chicago have chosen to put in charge of your criminal justice system, of your city government. Yeah, you bet. Well, I agree with that. I agree with Courtney from WGN. You better be vigilant.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
For over 10 years, the award-winning KWCC Construction has been building a better future, locally and throughout the Midwest, constructing with detailed planning and execution, completing projects safely, timely, and with transparency. If you've ever visited the Wilder Park Promenade along the Riverwalk in Aurora or driven past the recently revitalized Copley Hospital, you're looking at the quality construction of KWCC. Maybe you've seen the adaptive reuse of 80 South River Street in downtown Aurora, which now includes residences and businesses that have revitalized the area. No matter the project, KWCC Construction offers services from indoors to outdoors, conception to completion. In fact, KWCC was recognized as 2022's Best Project in Landscape and Urban Development. Highly recommended. A general contracting company you can count on. That's KWCC. To request a proposal for your project, visit kwccinc.com. That's kwccinc.com.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
AM 560, The Answer.
So speaking of Chicago and safety, real quick, Superintendent Snelling, Secret Service, Mayor Johnson, Governor Pritzker are all at this. We're going to be great. It's going to be a very smooth convention. We're not going to have any issues. Here's Snelling.
What we will not tolerate is vandalism to our city. What we will not tolerate is violent activity. If we see that, we will put an end to it quickly.
Okay, and we're going to save that soundbite.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what they do.
Like Courtney from WGN says, be vigilant.
Mm-hmm. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, Kamala Harris was the border czar before she wasn't. 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The French National Rail Company says high-speed lines have been hit by arson attacks. 61 degrees, 5:32. It's heavily disrupted rail traffic on a day that not only has people coming into Paris for the high-risk Olympic opening ceremony, but lots of French nationals are leaving because of the disruption in Paris, and they're heading on vacation. Lines in the west, north, and east of France were affected. Prosecutors opened an investigation saying that the crimes will carry a 20-year sentence. The Justice Department says Ismael El Mayo Zambada, longtime leader of Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, and Joaquin Guzman Lopez, a son of another infamous cartel leader, have been arrested in Texas.
The Justice Department will not rest until every single cartel leader, member, and associate responsible for poisoning our communities is held accountable.
Attorney General Merrick Garland, the families of American hostages held captive by Hamas, say they're feeling more optimistic following a meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister.
We got absolute commitment from the Biden administration and from Prime Minister Netanyahu that they understand the urgency of this moment now, to waste no time and to complete this deal as it currently stands.
Jonathan Deckel-Hen says 8 American hostages are still being held in Gaza, among 120 still in captivity that may be alive. The House is approving a resolution condemning Vice President Kamala Harris for what GOP lawmakers and others say is a mishandling of the southern border. The resolution condemns Harris as the Biden administration's border czar. Meantime, former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign for president yesterday, but only in a phone call.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
The Obamas are the latest top Democrats to endorse the vice president. Boeing is finalizing a plea deal with the Justice Department involving the plane manufacturer pleading guilty to conspiracy and paying $250 million in fines. Actress and former MMA fighter Gina Carano's wrongful termination lawsuit against Disney and Lucasfilm will go forward and is getting closer to trial. Carano sued for wrongful termination and discrimination after being fired in February of 2021 from The Mandalorian show. The company fired her over social media postings about COVID-19 and the 2020 presidential election outcome. The Secret Service outlining the security plan for the DNC next month. Here in Chicago, increased local security measures are being put in place around the United Center and McCormick Place in the days leading up to, during, and immediately following the convention. Both red and yellow pedestrian-only restricted zones.
Within these areas, pedestrians are allowed to freely move about just as they would in any normal day. These areas are not bound by fences, but rather just a series of street closures.
A California-based company planning a multi-billion-dollar investment on Chicago's South Side at the currently closed former U.S. Steel Southworks site.
The potential applications are vast and transformative, from developing new life-saving drugs and next-generation electric batteries and solar cells. This quantum computer will change how the world lives, works, and heals.
The company is focused on building the first useful error-corrected quantum computer. Chicago Board of Education signing off on a nearly $10 billion budget over protest from the Chicago Teachers Union. A 15-year-old girl is dead following a shooting in Round Lake Beach. Valeria Rodriguez was eating dinner inside a home when police say she was shot by someone who opened fire outside the home. No one is in custody. White Sox lost to the Rangers 2-1, while the Cubs begin a weekend series against the Royals at Kauffman Stadium. The news, a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
5:39. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update on the roads, a service of our friends at Waukegan Roofing for commercial roofing repair or replace. Contact the company that's been replacing and repairing commercial roofs in Chicagoland since 1914 and shares your values. WaukeganRoofing.com. Emergencies, welcome. Kennedy inbound, 20 minutes. O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Dan Ryan stacking up south end. And I-57 jammed up on the outbound side near 167th. Entrance and exit ramps closed until 6 a.m. with ongoing road work. Accident left lane blocked outbound Bishop Ford between the Dan Ryan and Cottage Grove. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Hazy sunshine and 82. Clear and 65 overnight. Clear and 61 right now at O'Hare. 55 in Waukegan. And your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The D.C. Press Corps is being very dutiful in correcting the Kamala Harris record so she doesn't get smeared by these mean-spirited Republicans who keep referring to her as Biden's border czar. I don't know where people get this.
Well, I mean, the year I think was 2020. They were both wearing masks at a press conference, sitting 12 feet apart from each other.
But I've asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border. And, you know, back when I was vice president, I got a similar assignment, but one of the things we did was we made sure that we got a bipartisan agreement with Democrats and Republicans to provide over $700 million to the countries in the Northern Triangle to determine the best way to keep people.
That sounds like she's a border czar to me. Put her in charge of taking care and securing the border.
I guess if you don't technically use the term Tsarina, would that be better? If you don't technically use the term, then she technically isn't responsible for what's happened during the Biden presidency, and Joe Biden too. I mean, again, from one border czar to another border czarina, it's been real salad days for border security when the Joe Obama administration has been in charge, hasn't it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. So there was also, it's interesting, there was also reporting at the time, a term that the media loves to use, both parties love to use. I don't know, as I've said many times before, why we give titles derived from Russian royalty to elected officials or administrative ones, why people are drug czars and environmental czars, and it's just an odd
climate
thing.
czars.
It's an odd choice to make in a free society that you're elevating somebody to the title czar. But anyway, that's really rubbing people the wrong way. People, by people I mean Kamala Harris's comm shop, the DC press corps, because clearly she never was the border czar, and that's just a smear by Republicans, despite what you will hear over the last several years after the appointment you just heard, the reporting of her being, well, the border czar.
Quote unquote border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People are going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. She was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
Those right-wing extremists like Lester Holt and the panelists on CNN and MSNBC using that term border czar for so much of the last 3 years, it's really despicable. And I'm glad they've corrected the record that she was the root causes czar, not the border czar.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I just love how the media rewrites history right in front of us.
Yeah. The root causes are, or if you have another term that we could use to properly commend, because that's what we're in the business of doing, you got to commend Kamala for the job that she did. Please don't use the term border czar.
Well, this is 7 seconds of heaven. This explains Kamala Harris perfectly. When Lester Holt talked to her about being the border czar.
About the border. We've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
Well,
carpet, lamp.
Okay. Well, I mean, I hope she had a chance to get to Europe over the last 3 years too.
Hey.
See Gay Paris and so forth. This is a more telling statement about from Kamala about her attitude towards the border and Border Patrol. Remember, she was senator at the height of the abolish the police, defund ICE, jackbooted thugs, they're border Nazis. This was the rhetoric of the Socialist Spice Girls, and they're essentially bandmates. I mean, I think when you earn the term most leftist senator in the U.S. Senate, a U.S. Senate that contains Bernie Sanders, I think you're an honorary socialist Spice Girl. She certainly was when she was in the Senate. This was Kamala Harris during a confirmation hearing in 2018. A confirmation hearing for a nominee for Assistant Homeland Security Secretary for ICE, a gentleman named Ronald Vitello. And the comparison that she makes. Now, listen to, the not very artful way that she tries to smear ICE as a domestic terrorist organization.
Klan was what we would call today a domestic terrorist group.
Why? Why would we call them domestic terrorist group?
Because they tried to use fear and force to change political environment.
And what was the motivation for the use of fear and
It
force?
was based on race and ethnicity.
Right. Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? Yeah. And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between sworn
I'm talking about perception.
officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no
Are you aware that there's a
that
perception?
puts ICE in the same category as the KKK. Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm very specific about what I'm asking you. Are you aware of a perception that the way that the discretion
I see no parallel.
I'm not finished.
I see none.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Are you aware that there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way that is causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants and specifically among immigrants coming from Mexico and Central America? Are you aware of that perception?
I do not see a parallel between the power and the authority that ICE has to do its job and the agents and officers who do it professionally and excellently with lots of compassion.
Sir, how can you be the head of an agency and be unaware of how your agency is perceived by certain communities?
There is a lot of perceptions in the media and in the public that are incorrect about the agency.
But the
and what
perception
it does.
exists, would you agree? Whether or not it's correct. And wouldn't you agree then that if that perception exists, there might need to be some work done to correct the perception?
I do want to advocate for the workforce, the vital public safety mission that they have to protect the homeland. And I think more people need to know how valuable they are to the society. So I agree with you on that.
By the way, I'm not finished is what Willie Brown used to say to Kamala Harris. The response to Kamala Harris, the perception. There's a perception in some communities that ICE is the Ku Klux Klan. That's what she was saying. No, I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying there's a perception. Let me tell you what you're doing, Senator. You're saying that I should spend my time trying to inform people who are so ignorant as to suggest that ICE behaves like the Ku Klux Klan. No, I'm sorry. We have bigger things and better things to do at ICE when it comes to border security, and which is a function of national security, isn't it? I can't run around chasing every panelist on MSNBC who wants to smear ICE by saying it's a domestic terrorist organization, it's akin to the Ku Klux Klan. The perception in these nebulous communities. Why don't you define these communities? Tell me who specifically has this perception that you're speaking of, since you're so attentive to it. You're so tuned into it. Tell me who has the perception that ICE is the KKK. You do, and your other new Bolshevik friends on the Hill do, and almost nobody else in America does, except those whose brain has been eaten away by watching MSNBC and CNN. But I mean, she thinks she's being clever.
I know. She
is a mope. Kamala Harris is a mope. She is a room temperature political hack who recites Kant. You could, throw a dragnet over state legislatures and general assemblies around the country, particularly in blue states, and come up with 1,000 Kamala Harrises. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Tony in Downers Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, Dan, I hope you golfed well, but I do.
Off and on.
I have to relate. I have to relinquish. I'm going to apologize and say I'm wrong. I don't think they're going to slip Michelle in at the last minute.
No,
because they don't need Bernie Sanders. They don't need Michelle Obama. They have Kamala Harris.
Well, the Obamas just endorsed her. I'm sorry for interrupting, but they endorsed her last night. There's a video that they made endorsing Kamala Harris.
Of course she did.
Michelle and
Yes,
Barack.
she is the one to carry the torch of the progressive left agenda. She truly is. We have media outlets that are bold-faced lying to everyone. They have.
That's what they do. That's built into the price.
Yeah, I understand that, but you have every pundit, every Democrat.
That's what they do. That's built into the price.
It's built in, but we're at a precipice of losing. We're really losing our country. I really believe that.
Here's the thing, Tony. It's weird to me to listen to sensible center-right people like yourself. All of a sudden, Kamala Harris, you're treating her the way the press corps is treating her, like she just arrived on the scene. You will please remember not to forget that the reason that so many of these same people propped up Biden for so long is because Kamala Harris was their other option. They don't have faith in her, and they shouldn't have faith in her. She is the lesser option to Biden, and that is now their ride or die.
This I don't disagree with, but the agenda itself is moving forward. She gave her speech yesterday to the teachers union, and she literally bragged about forgiving the student loan. You know, the one that the Supreme Court said, not constitutional. You can't do that.
I know you should be applauding her for doing that. You should be applauding her for doing that because her campaign so far has been a rerun of her campaign for the Democrat Socialist nomination in 2020. That's not a general election campaign.
Well, but Dan, unfortunately, what's going to come into play, and we're already seeing it. We're going to see it. She's going to win on race, gender, and
that's not going to be enough.
I hope not.
Well, we're going to see. I hope you're wrong. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for the call. You
White
hope I'm
women
right.
are assembling. They have these phone calls out. Connie Britton, Maria Shriver.
Right.
But they did that also with Hillary.
Connie Britton, right. Oh, my gosh. Oh, the same celebrities are doing the same thing. The same media is doing the same thing. The same academics are doing the same thing. The same pundits and newsreaders, propagandists are doing the same thing. What would you expect them to do? Something different? Were they going to come over and support Trump? They have a terrible candidate, Kamala Harris. That, again, recognized by all of those same people that are now, of course, because she is their ride or die. This is the corner they painted themselves into. This is all they have. So, of course, it is going to be crank up the Newspeak machine, put a happy face on. We're all going to celebrate. We're going to go full identitarian politics because that's all we have. It is not going to be enough.
But what's different about this is I feel, how Trump campaigned from the courtroom for 4 months? She's campaigning from the White House. They're having separate events for her and Biden. Why couldn't she and Biden meet Netanyahu together? Because that's a campaign opportunity to show her in front of a world leader, in front of the Israel and the American flag. That's what's different. And that is what scares me a little bit.
It's not different than running against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton had all of those photo ops. It's not different. And those moments, it's not different than running against the former vice president, Joe Biden. So, the idea that Kamala Harris is not sort of this political talent, now this force now that has to be dealt with, she isn't. And gird your loins a little bit, center-right voters out there. She is the same person that you found repellent when she didn't even make it to the Iowa caucus in 2020, despite the money that was raised coming out of California and her moment on the debate stage with Biden. She does not wear well. Not to mention all these clips that we've been playing all week. You're already seeing them. The mashups and the barrage relentlessly for the next 100 days. And she is not really moderating any position that is detectable to me so far. And you're talking about a senator, as I said, that was left of Bernie Sanders. Somebody else they didn't want to go with in 2020 because too far left of where the majority of the electorate is. Let's calm down a little bit here. She's getting her moment because she is the focus. And by the way, we want her to be the focus. We want this to be a referendum on Kamala and Biden by extension. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, as far as her running from that border czar title, she's got bigger fish to fry now, so don't fence her in.
Okay, George.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Call your foursome to tee up for prizes and great fun. It's the 27th Annual Crew Chicago Leader Impact Golf Outing. Join Leader Impact for a fun day on the course at Bloomingdale Golf Club August 5th. Shotgun start 8:30 a.m. with lunch and awards at 1:30. A foursome is $1,000. Includes 4 squares for prizes and 12 mulligans per group. For details, email bob.blesser@gmail.com. Leader Impact, providing extraordinary experiences for business leaders and executives. Weekly meetings integrating the Christian faith.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Brandon Tatum weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by Charlie Kirk at 7. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning
We'll
Answer.
maintain our focus exactly where I said we should maintain it, on Kamala at 6:06.
And they're cleaning up California. Guess who's picking up garbage with his aviator shades on? Oh, yeah. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
PsiQuantum planning a multi-billion-dollar investment in Chicago, and the Secret Service outlines a security plan.
A former president backs perhaps our next president. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Then Vice President Harris told former President Obama and Michelle,
I'm looking forward to doing this with the two of you.
in a statement, the Obamas say the vice president has what it takes to win the election, giving us all hope. Harris is the presumptive 2024 nominee after President Biden dropped out of the race, and she met with Israel's prime minister separately after President Biden sit down with Benjamin Netanyahu. And Fox's Madeline Rivera reports.
Notably, it was Vice President Kamala Harris, not the president, who delivered remarks after meeting with Netanyahu.
Let's get the deal done so we can get a ceasefire to end the war. Let's bring the hostages home.
Shortly after, Harris also very quickly denounced the deaths in Gaza.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating.
Today, former President Trump will meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu. A new New York Times Siena poll shows the 2024 race pretty much a tie, a 1-point Trump lead over Vice President Harris. There's trouble in France. Hours before the Olympics opening ceremony in Paris, arson attacks and other vandalism halting high-speed train service.
France's state railway company says the fires were set at installations along the lines connecting the capital with the country's west, north, and east, and that services will be severely impacted during the weekend. Train stations are already crowded with passengers not able to get to their final destination.
Fox's Chanley Painter. A Mexican drug bust in Texas. 2 leaders of the Sinaloa cartel arrested. Attorney General Merrick Garland vows they won't rest
until every single cartel leader, member, and associate responsible for poisoning our communities is held accountable.
America's listening to Fox News.
61 degrees, sunrise in Chicago at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Secret Service outlining security plans for the Democrat National Convention next month in Chicago, unveiling a pedestrian-only restricted zone around McCormick Place and the United Center.
Within these areas, pedestrians are allowed to freely move about just as they would in any normal day. These areas are not bound by fences, but rather just a series of street closures.
Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling says outside police agencies that help secure the DNC will not be posted in city neighborhoods.
Our job is to uphold the Constitution, and that is exactly what we're going to do. What we will not tolerate is vandalism to our city. What we will not tolerate is violent activity. If we see that, we will put an end to it quickly.
Roughly 500 officers will be directing traffic and working security checkpoints. California-based company is planning a multi-billion-dollar investment in Chicago. PsiQuantum wants to build a new computing campus at the former U.S. Steel Southworks site on the South Side, closed now for 30 years.
This is a leap of faith in many ways. The General Assembly understood that we had a great opportunity, but they also knew that making an investment of this kind it can be groundbreaking.
Chicago Board of Education is signing off on nearly a $10 billion budget over protest from the Chicago Teachers Union. A 15-year-old girl is dead following a shooting in Round Lake Beach. Valeria Rodriguez was simply eating dinner inside a home Wednesday night when shots rang out outside of the home. Rodriguez died at the kitchen table. No one is in custody. A dog who was killed after attacking its owners, who suffered a serious but non-life-threatening injuries in Elgin, police said Thursday. Witnesses said the man and woman were walking the dog, which appeared to get agitated by another dog.
It attacked the owner, attacked both of the owners, and it finally grabbed the woman's arm, and it got both of her arms tore down to the bone.
Police say one of the officers then was forced to shoot and kill the dog. White Sox on an 11-game losing skid following a 2-1 loss to the Rangers. Cubs take on Kansas City tonight. The news a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Executive Green Carpet Cleaning, and by Valdecast Windows and Doors. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel services more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you, or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit SuburbanWeldingandSteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. SuburbanWeldingandSteel.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text PREP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text PREP to 42424. That's PREP to 42424.
Are you ready to lose weight but not sure where to start?
Let me tell you why I chose a PhD weight loss and nutrition. First, Dr. Ashley Lucas has her PhD in chronic disease and sports nutrition. The program is science-based. The PhD program starts with nutrition, but is so much more. They know that 90% of permanent change comes from the mind, and they work on eliminating the reason you gained this weight in the first place. There are no shortcuts, no pills, no scary injections, just solid science-based nutrition and behavior change. And finally, I lost 42 pounds and I haven't gained a pound back. PhD has a lifelong maintenance plan. If you are ready to lose weight for the last time, call 864-644-1900 to get started. Or online at myphdweightloss.com. Do what I did, what hundreds of my listeners have done. Call today. That's 865-644-1900.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. On the Reagan, accident cleared eastbound on the Reagan right before Midway Road. West Chicago, an accident, Bishop and Forest. CTA Blue Line got big delays on the Blue Line between O'Hare and downtown. Uncertain amounts of delays because they're not sure they have the staff to run the trains this morning. Tri-State, watch out as traffic jams up northbound right at Roosevelt Road, and an accident involving a motorcycle on the Kennedy outbound at Cumberland. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, some hazy sunshine, our high 82. Clear tonight, low 65. Mostly sunny tomorrow, and the high 88. Variable cloudiness, humid day Sunday. Afternoon shower and thunderstorm, the high at 85. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
61 at O'Hare, 64 at Midway. Your next news update, 6:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So just continuing our conversation about Kamala. The campaign is a referendum on her. She has launched a introductory video trying to frame the race from her perspective.
Okay.
The choice between her and President Trump. And here it is.
In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. But us, we choose something different. We choose freedom.
Go, girl. Woo! Stilettos down the hallway.
The freedom not just to get by, but get ahead. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to make decisions about your own body. We choose a future where no child lives in poverty, where we can all afford health care, where no one is above the law. We believe in the promise of America, and we're ready to fight for it. Because when we fight, we win. So join us. Go to KamalaHarris.com and let's get to work.
I'ma keep on running because the winner don't quit on themselves.
Girl. Woo! I'm going to go out and vote.
Hold
two
on.
times now.
I'm over at KamalaHarris.com. Hold on. I'll be right back. Doesn't she mean freedom? We choose freedom.
I don't remember if that's from.
It's from when she plagiarized Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. She's a plagiarist too.
Of course she is.
Because she's just like her boss.
A fabulous, a plagiarist. She checks all the boxes. You'll remember. I hope you do. And in case you don't, because this should be brought back too, because it makes her the object of ridicule that she so richly deserves to be, and has been right up until now. We're supposed to take her seriously. Speaking to Elle magazine back in October of 2021, Harris detailed a time where she became separated from her parents at a civil rights march in Oakland, California.
Oh, this story. Yeah.
She's been an activist from the womb, Amy. When they found their lost daughter, my mother, quoting Kamala, my mother tells the story about how I'm fussing, and she's like, baby, what do you want? What do you need? And I just looked at her and I said, freedom. I want freedom. Wow.
A lot of syllables for somebody that age.
From the mouth of a babe. Seriously? This is what people are all nervous about? This? I mean, I'm not measuring the drapes here, but I'm just saying, let's get a hold of ourselves about who this person actually is. By the way, just so you know, I mean, it is Biden quality in terms of its plagiarism. It's not a close call. Martin Luther King telling the story of witnessing a young black girl and a white police officer in Birmingham in 1965. I'll never forget a moment in Birmingham when a white policeman accosted a little Negro girl, quoting King, 7 or 8 years old, who was walking in a demonstration with her mother. What do you want? The policeman asked her gruffly, and the little girl looked at him and said, feed him. Kamala Harris wasn't that little girl in Birmingham, Alabama.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line.
We choose freedom. Freedom.
Does anybody have video of freedom?
This was in a magazine interview, unfortunately, but I'd love for her to recount the story on the trail. Please tell it to us one more time. Somebody should press her on that. If Steve Ducey can never get, Peter Ducey can never get close enough to her. The other thing about, we choose freedom or freedom. It's all, listen to what she's saying. It's all government. The other thing that needs to be done here to keep the focus on her, and because she is such a empty vessel, she is such a cipher, make her elaborate on her worldviews. Yes. When she starts to go philosopher king or queen, philosopher queen or czar, when she starts to go philosopher, that is when things go off the rails.
That's why I don't think they're going to allow her to do one-on-one interviews.
Well, she's going to do a debate. Debates plus.
Right.
She's ready to debate. Trump's ready to debate. We're going to have at least one debate, perhaps maybe more. And again, make her answer for this. These clips that are going around, for example, that and she always repeats the same lines because she's a cipher. She has no idea what she's talking about. She's just, this is the Daily Show spoof on her. We call this speaking without thinking. And that's what this is. So equity versus equality. Listen to this.
Okay.
As we're battling this out across the culture right now in the wake of Supreme Court decisions and corporations retreating on their die silliness, Kamala Harris on equity versus equality.
It has to be about a goal of saying everybody should end up in the same place. And since we didn't start in the same place, some folks might need more. Equitable distribution.
Giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place.
So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing. Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place, as opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more. So we all end up in the same place, right?
Right. So everyone ends up in the same place. So how do they get there? Specifically, what does ending up in the same place look like? Be specific. So this is what earned her the moniker from me, Reparation H. On that debate stage, let's talk reparations. Let's talk about equity versus equality. In an earlier time, Democrats used to be smart enough to cover their entitlements with we just want equality of opportunity not equality of outcome, because equality of outcome is unachievable. People are not going to end up in the same place. People don't start in the same place. They're not going to end up in the same place. But you can have equality of access to opportunity. Equality, different than equity. In fact, they're antonyms. And Kamala Harris apparently understands that because she's very specific about talking about equality of outcome, which is new. Most people are smart enough on the left are smart enough not to say that because of its implications. I mean, talk about, Marxism 101. Well, that's what it is. From each according to their means to each according to their needs. That's what you just said. So let's detail that. Let's have her detail that. Put the focus on her explaining the implications of these deep thoughts that she puts out there into the ether. Then you're going to see her unravel. Brian in Wheatfield, Indiana, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Amy. I just feel like the Dems are so arrogant that they just put anybody out there and they say, look, to us, we'll win. We win with Biden. We'll put out her. We'll put out anybody. And then they look at their voters and they say, you guys are so stupid, we can put anybody out there we want, and you'll vote for us. It's almost like it's become a joke or funny to them. Look what we can do.
Thanks for the call, Brian. Well, I mean, she's got the backing of our royalty. I love the statement that Biden made in his eulogy to himself the other day, where he talked about we don't have kings and potentates. Mm-hmm. There's a great line from, I think it was season 2 of Fargo, where there was an exchange, basically the same thing. In America, we don't have kings, and the one character says to the other, yeah, we do. We just use different titles to refer to them. And it's true. And so King Barack and Queen Michelle.
Yeah, they made a phone, like this wasn't scripted or staged. They called her on the phone, girlfriend to girlfriend.
Kamala.
Hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, hi. You're both together. Oh, it's good to hear you both.
Like the Clintons.
I can't
So
have
authentic.
this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am
girl!
proud of you. This is going to be historic.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my.
Michelle, Barack, this means so much to me. I am looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road. But most of all, I just want to tell you the words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express. So thank you both. It means so much. And we're going to have some fun with this too, aren't we?
We sure are, girl. I'm trying to do my best Charles Thomas. Girl. That was almost as authentic, almost
as what?
As almost a touching of a moment as the BET Awards the other week, where Kamala and Taraji Henson from Empire, both Jussie Smollett apologists.
Yeah.
By the way,
don't ever forget that either.
They had this authentic girl to girl moment.
No, Taraji. Now, you know I wouldn't do that, especially not to a fellow bison. The real, ain't you? You know. So what's on your mind?
Oh, Madam VP Harris, I'm worried about the election. Women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they not like us.
They not.
There's a full-on attack on our fundamental freedoms. The freedom to vote.
Yep.
The freedom to love who you love. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom for a woman to make decisions about her own body, not having her government tell her what to do.
Hey, girl! What is a woman, since you brought it up? They not. I mean, honestly, could it be any more insulting? I know they're very lifelike, these people.
It's such tryhards. It's so embarrassing.
Speaking of girls,
yeah.
Kamala was with some of her other girls.
Oh, the RuPaul show?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I saw that.
Kicking it off with the girls with penises.
Hi, everyone. It's Kamala Harris.
Each day, we are seeing our rights and freedoms under attack, including the right of everyone to be who they are, love who they love, openly and with pride. So as we fight back against these attacks, let's all remember, no one is alone. We are all in this together, and your vote is your power. So please make sure your voice is heard this November and register to vote at vote.gov.
Can I get an amen?
Amen, girl! Now on with the show.
And remember, you better vote.
Girl! And then she starts dancing. She starts dancing. Oh, she's in it.
Yeah. This is what people are afraid of. I mean, I got to tell you, it's almost self-parody.
It's almost a Saturday Night Live skit, all of these.
Girl! Eric in Whirling Meadows.
Morning, guys. You know, Dan, I think you hit it on the head way back when the party's all about just the message and the word of the substance. They got words, and it's the party of the government. The GOP should be running against the party of words and message and government against the people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially government when we've seen how competent it is, or not so much. Just the repeated level of incompetence. You cannot believe the FBI is this incompetent. You cannot, I'm not going to go through the myriad of FBI embarrassments over just the last 8 years.
But the latest is that they're checking to see if Trump was really shot at that rally July 13th.
The incompetence of the Secret Service. You can't believe it. You can't believe these agencies that you had such respect for once upon a time are as incompetent as they are, but they are. And the response from the left is make them all bigger. Give them a more unchecked power. David Lansing.
Hey, Dan. I think I'm sensing that you're not convinced by this commercial from Kamala Harris. So I think the Democrats have a marketing problem getting through to you. So I have an improvement on their commercial.
Mm-hmm.
They should play a 1-minute commercial of video clips of the courthouse in Oregon under siege by Antifa, firing commercial-sized fireworks at it, along with Kamala Harris's freedom, freedom from gun violence, and play like
freedom.
Antifa punching people in the back of the head, like people with red hats being punched in the back of the head. I think maybe that'll help convince you of, the Democrat platform and Kamala Harris's message. I think it would be more clear then.
Well, thanks for the call, David. I mean, here's a lesson we can learn from the left. When they retreat, we chase them, which is what the left always does to the right. When you retreat on things like life, they'll chase you. Oh, you don't want to talk about it? That's all we want to talk about. So Kamala Harris wants to pretend she didn't have anything to do with the open border the last 3 years. Great, let's talk about it. Let's talk about you tell me, Kamala, why we had a 9,600% increase in Chinese nationals illegally crossing into this country in the last 3 fiscal years. You tell me about not just our southern border. I mean,
northern border. And the people that are being flown here.
But Border Patrol catches 15,000 migrants crossing into the Vermont sector in the last 10 months, more than the previous 13 years combined. The people being flown in, the CBP app, the money that we're spending, the sanctuary city and sanctuary state jurisdictions. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, since you had nothing to do with the border, despite all this evidence that we have. You're not going to get away with it. And to David and Lansing's point about crime, local crime, when the cities were being burned to the ground, what did you do? You were setting up a fund to bail out arsonists and vandals that were part and parcel of burning America's great cities.
Yeah, and one person that was bailed out with this Minnesota Freedom Fund that Kamala Harris funded, his name's George Howard, and once he was released, he killed somebody. Here's his mugshot. Yeah.
Kate Steinle. Kate Steinle was killed by a person in this country illegally in California. You were the attorney general there. That didn't register with you, and now we have dozens and dozens of, well, at this point over that period of time, hundreds more, maybe thousands more Americans who've been murdered or otherwise been victims of violent crimes by people in this country illegally because you're not serious about some sort of sensible immigration policy where people have to follow a process and wait in line like so many are waiting in line and trying to do it properly. I mean, all of this stuff needs to be put right back on her doorstep. Just explain it to us. Here's what you said. Here's what happened. Here's what you backed. You were flacking for all of it. You were promoting it as a candidate. You were flacking for it as vice president. So you're going to own it, and you're going to tell us more about it. So let's watch Kamala try to unwind all of this. That would be fun. That would be fun. She does not have the skill set to do it. Steve and Roselle.
Always a great show, guys. The way Obama endorsed Harris, it reminded me of how Obama got endorsed by Oprah, and Obama went, "Oh shucks," you know.
Yeah, right, and another, sui generis moment, just something that occurred. It wasn't scripted. It's not contrived. Right. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Steve.
She was so surprised to get the phone call. Oh, is this Barack and Michelle? Oh, hi. Oh, you're together. Oh,
Yeah.
We're not on a Zoom call? Oh.
Yeah, Michelle and Barack on their princess phone and their speaker phone. They got Kamala on speaker. Hey, girl.
Text message, doesn't Kamala want to control what we eat too? No more red meat.
Yeah, all of the
that.
above.
EVs, mandates, everything.
Every ridiculous leftist, how much water you get with each flush, you get for your washing machine, your electricity footprint, all of the. I mean, she is on board. She was on board as a candidate in 2020, and of course, with this administration, for every leftist. Big government gambit, and that's out there. Pick an issue, any issue. That's why Trump is saying multiple debates. I agree with him. You can't have too many.
Oh, but they're acting like he's running away from debating. He's not. He just doesn't trust the Democrat Party and says, well, when you guys get your house in order, then we'll pick a date.
Yeah, well, or
I mean, there's still the one on the
September 10th.
September 10th.
Keep September 10th and add more. I would almost take Trump's strategy with Biden. I just want her on the debate stage. I don't care what the terms are. Whatever they want, I'll take them. Because I got a bunch of things that I'm going to make her explain. Joe in Naperville.
You just hit the nail right on the head, Dan. The problem is, who is going to make her explain? Who's going to hold her accountable? This media that's in love with her, Danny Deutsch getting tingles, almost crying, and all these other liberal pundits. Nobody's going to hold her accountable. That's the problem.
Well, we'll see. Thanks for the call.
And this white privilege phone call. It's the largest, 130,000, largest Zoom ever, and they raised 1.3 million. Blah blah blah.
Yawn.
They basically told white women, check your white privilege and help out the black community.
Yeah. Again, all the graduates of the Seven Sisters, not going to be enough. They don't matter. Pay them no mind. Do not spend a moment worrying about them. Focus on Kamala and focus on people who are open-minded enough to say that we have to make a change from the last 4 years. If anybody's at least has an open mind on that, then you can have a conversation. If they're on a phone call with Connie Britton, then forget about them. Forget them. All right, coming up at 6:36, we'll turn our attention to a Jewish comedian. Speaking of highlighting ignorance, we're highlighting Kamala Harris's, highlighting the left's general ignorance when it comes to Israel. That's at 6:36.
And finding a brain will explain. But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
It is 6:31 on AM 560. The Answer: chaos in France this morning. French officials say the national train service there has been targeted by several malicious acts ahead of the Paris Olympics opening officially tonight. The opening ceremonies are this afternoon. This morning, French rail officials say arson attacks aimed at paralyzing the high-speed network forced a number of trains to be canceled. Barack and Michelle Obama are endorsing Kamala Harris in the Democrat race for president. Vice President Harris speaking on the phone with both of them.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
The former president and first lady releasing videos this morning. Vice President Harris saying her meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was frank and constructive.
We cannot look away in the face of these tragedies. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
House Speaker Mike Johnson has some harsh words for pro-Palestinian demonstrators who burned an American flag during yesterday's protests in Washington, D.C. The Louisiana Republican said the protesters who sprayed graffiti on monuments and took down flags should face criminal charges.
We should not stand for this at all. Look, we respect free speech, of course, but they are desecrating monuments, destroying public property, and they need to be arrested and sent to jail.
Johnson and a group of House Republicans later put up new flags outside Union Station in the nation's capital. Hot, dry winds are fueling wildfires out west. The largest active fire is in Oregon. A drug lord who founded the Sinaloa cartel with Joaquin El Chapo Guzman has been arrested in Texas.
Ismael Zambada Garcia, known as El Mayo, the leader of the largest cartel in Mexico, has been arrested. NBC News says that Zambada founded the Sinaloa cartel with the now jailed El Chapo in 1987 and quickly became one of the DEA's most wanted criminals. The agency has had a $15 million reward out for him as of 2021. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Secret Service outlining security plans for the DNC next month in Chicago. Increased local security measures will be in place around the United Center and McCormick Place. Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling saying outside police agencies that will help secure the DNC will not be posted in city neighborhoods.
Our job is to uphold the Constitution, and that is exactly what we're going to do. What we will not tolerate is vandalism to our city. What we will not tolerate is violent activity. If we see that, we will put an end to it quickly.
The renewed attention on out-of-town police comes after Ohio officers in Milwaukee for the RNC, according to Milwaukee police, saved the life of a pair of homeless men after a man wielding knives at a park attacked the men not far from the RNC security zone, rescuing the men and then killing the suspect. White Sox 2-1 losers to the Rangers, while the Cubs begin a weekend series with the Royals. Opening ceremonies for the Summer Olympics in Paris today. Ahead of that, U.S. women's national soccer team opened play with a 3-0 win over Zambia. Trinity Rodman a goal, and if you haven't been paying attention, Bulls fans, Trinity Rodman is Dennis Rodman's daughter. The news, a service of Croscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Croscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CroscomPublicAdjusters.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media. It says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Vestuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor traditions, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
The new two-part documentary, Trump's Front Row Joes, is the first inside look at Trump's diehard fans.
The Front Row Joes are incredible people.
Camping out for days to be in the front row at every Trump rally to support their hero.
The kind of basis for all the rallies, there's like dead fans.
Trump's Front Row Joes, from executive producer Sean Spicer.
You had to love Mr. Donald Trump.
Trump's Front Row Joes. Watch it now. Go to salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads this morning. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It's an update of Blindster.com. Shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more. All at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com. Kennedy inbound 34. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange and climbing right now. Eichen 41 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Tri-State, due to an earlier accident, you're jammed up northbound right at the Cermak toll, and the Reagan I-88 eastbound jamming up at Roosevelt Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Hazy sunshine today, high 82. Clear and 65 overnight. Sunny and pleasant, 88 tomorrow. 61 and clear at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, Reparation H had her meeting with Bibi Netanyahu after his barnstormer of a speech yesterday before the joint meeting of Congress. As was mentioned before, Kamala had a separate individual meeting with him.
Weird. She looked so uncomfortable, and that photo op, I mean, it lasted 14 seconds, I think, when he came in. She didn't want to be with him. She stood away from him, and I've never seen her look so uncomfortable in my life.
I thought it was nice that she resisted the temptation to borrow Rashida Tlaib's war criminal sign and hold that up for the picture. So that was good. She basically did the same thing that Biden did, which is try to middle the issue. Israel has a right to defend itself. Tough talk about Hamas and Iranian-backed terrorist organizations. And then, but, I'm very concerned, almost to the level of disturbed by what's happened to the people of Gaza. Here's some of that two-step.
So I just had a frank and constructive meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. I told him that I will always ensure that Israel is able to defend itself, including from Iran and Iran-backed militias such as Hamas and Hezbollah. From when I was a young girl, collecting funds to plant trees for Israel, to my time in the United States Senate and now at the White House.
She's an arborist, don't you know?
I remember when she was collecting funds to plant trees in Israel, and David Ben-Gurion asked her, "What do you want?" And she said, "Freedom." I mean, collecting. Yeah, it's just an activist from the womb. Like I said, she's so serious. She's so dedicated. Freedom. Honestly.
Oh, she's insufferable. Just keep letting her talk, guys. I'm honestly,
I'm actually enjoying it. I really am. People are a lot more nervous. Some people are a lot more nervous about this than I am. And again, I'm not saying that there's not a lot of machinations and you've got the prospect of ballot security issues, but this chick is not gonna wash, man. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, especially against what is really a cultural movement. This is a movement. This is a moment in time with Trump, especially with everything that's transpired the last year, leading up to and through the failed attempted assassination. This is the sort of movement you saw around identity politics behind Obama, but of course it's not around identity politics, except to the extent being an American who believes in sort of the foundational values is your identity. If you want to play it that way. This is a bad matchup for the left. Kamala Harris is a bad matchup. She is not sellable the way that Barack Obama is. And I know the country has gone much further off the rails than it was when Obama ascended in 2008. But I'm just telling you, this rap and this rapper around Kamala Harris, people are not going to buy it. The people that matter in this election in the middle. Something on this, though, just on the topic, since we had this speech yesterday and we talked at some length about it yesterday with Noel Rothman. I like this, what this Jewish comedian did. So a young guy named Zach Sage Fox. He actually went to Ramallah, and I got.
I thought you meant Kamala.
I got Kamala.
I thought there was
I got Kamala. I got Mamala from Drew Barrymore in my mind, and so now I'm mispronouncing. So he went to Ramallah, Zach Sage Fox, to talk to Gazans about Hamas. And this is what's lost in this middling rhetoric that has been adopted. It's been adopted by Biden-Harris and the D.C. press corps are just openly hostile to Israel. But what's been lost is the problem you have there, and this is certainly understood by Bibi, though he may not want to say it with the same moral clarity he talked about protesters in the West, including the United States yesterday, is that those residents of Gaza support Hamas. We said this from the beginning.
They voted for them to run their government. Israel abdicated in 2005. They voted for him once, and then they haven't seen the need to vote again. Kind of a little bit of a dictatorship.
Listen to, again, these are the, man on the street and woman on the street type of interviews. So it's not, I'm not saying it's a representative sample, but it's representative of something. It's representative of minimum a strain. And frankly, the polling that we've talked about in the wake of October 7th is frightening, because a majority of Gazans rationalized, if not outright supported, what Hamas did, the terrorist attack they committed, the murdering that they committed. And you have apologists in our Congress like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC that are also anti-Semites and have rationalized it away, too, talking about, this great occupier and it's a apartheid state and all of the other smears. So this is who you're dealing with. It's sort of like trying to get through to, voters in Chicago.
For months now, millions of people around the world have been chanting Free Palestine. Well, I've decided to see Palestine. Welcome to the Wild West Bank. Are you supportive of Hamas?
Yes. Yes, of course. Yes.
Are most Palestinians?
Yeah.
Palestinian people like Hamas.
I'm with the resistance.
Did you see the videos they posted of what they did on October 7th?
Everything.
And you're okay with all that?
With everything they did.
They killed innocent Israelis. They killed... Yes,
No.
they did.
No.
Yes, they did.
Give me a picture for rape.
Do you think Hamas should release the Israeli hostages?
No. No.
Nothing's named Israel.
There's nothing named Israel? Yeah. The Quran mentions Israel over 100 times. Is Palestine mentioned in the Quran?
No.
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 The murders Hamas did on October 7th, is that okay?
Yes. They have the right to do it.
The problem is not Hamas. We should look at the bigger picture.
They living under occupation.
But Israel left Gaza in 2005.
Sure.
What does Intifada mean?
Violent.
And neither one of us were born anywhere near 1940. We have to deal with the reality today.
No.
No, don't deal with the reality today.
Britain brought all the criminal Jews since 1948. They can go back. Holanda, Iraq.
Most of those places they were kicked out of.
Jews have not been killed or exposed to any struggle or any violence. Not
Almost
in
every country in the Middle East.
No.
No, that's true.
Educate yourself. If they are kicked, it's because of their own actions.
What did they do besides being Jewish?
They steal, they do all awful deeds.
Does anyone here hate Hamas? In the U.S., it's a big movement right now. Queers for Palestine. Are you supportive of that?
No, we don't have it.
You don't have gay people here?
No.
No.
It's like an alien.
It would not be accepted.
No, to be honest with you, no.
Do you want to live with the Israelis in peace? Or?
No. I want one state solution. No Israel.
So no more Israel?
Yes.
Israel wiped off the map?
Palestine فقط.
We should delete Israel.
So you would not be okay with a two-state solution?
Of course not.
Israelis prisoners when they released from Gaza. They was smiling.
You think that these people are genuinely smiling after being held hostage? They're scared for their life.
Who put this in your brain?
I think you're in denial about Hamas. So Hamas implements strict Sharia law. It looks like in Ramallah, at least, you're free to show your hair. Would you want Hamas to be in charge?
They would allow for elections.
But they
Why
haven't
not?
had elections in Gaza in 20 years. That's a fact.
Yeah, there was a lot of blank stares and a lot of silence to the facts that Zach Sage Fox was bringing up in interviews with the half a dozen Palestinians in Gaza. But I mean, this is what you're dealing with in significant percentage. I would argue, based on the data that I've seen, majority, if not supermajority percentage. And yet we are going to sort of take the position of non-intervention. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that. I think your allies are your allies. I think J.D. Vance, for example, was wrong to skip the speech. I think he should have been there for Netanyahu's speech.
What was his reasoning? Well, was he campaigning, right?
He's campaigning, but I mean that was an important speech in an important moment, and there is some real distance, or there's some real daylight, I should say, between the two camps, especially with the comments Trump has made about Israel as compared to the middling rhetoric of a Biden and now a Harris. And that difference should be made clear to the American people. It's not the central issue, I understand, but it's an issue. And especially when Trump is, always tagged with this, he's an agent of chaos, and he's not the internationalist that we need in the White House. He's going to pull us out of NATO, and he's going to destabilize this relationship and that relationship. Of course, the 4 years as president told quite a different story, but he needs to remind people of that story and restate his view about what America first looks like when it comes to translating that to international affairs. And this is a real moment to do that because of the distance between the two. Rich in Indian Head Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning.
Morning, Rich.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Hello.
Nice to talk to you guys again. Nice to hear your voice again, Dan. What I wanted to say is, all I keep hearing every day is how how great of a record she has and that she put it up against anybody. Well, her record for the last 3.5 years is all the failed policies that Biden put forward.
Right.
So I don't know what she's talking about her record. What is she going to tell the American people and make them feel like they should vote for her? Is she going to talk about how she's going to make the economy better, bring down gas prices and food prices, how she's going to lower the interest rates? What is she actually going to talk about? She really has nothing to talk about. She has no record.
Thanks for the call, Rich. Well, she's got the same record that Biden did.
Right. And
So
Biden, in his, 11-minute speech yesterday, said he's going to solve all that before, and cancer, too, before he leaves office.
Yeah, but I mean, if she's you're going to hear the same rap on the economy and the border from her that you heard from Biden. And I think it's going to be received about as well, which is to say not very.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Attention maintenance coordinators. If you manage an industrial facility, then you know how critical it is to manage a consistent maintenance staff. During outages, when you're short-handed, Vans has your back.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Whether you need one person for 8 hours or a large crew for a month, we can supplement your maintenance team. Our personnel are trained mechanics familiar with all material handling processes. Our expertise extends to fabricating, sheet metal, millwright, and ironwork jobs. Our men can work alongside your repairmen, or we can provide an entire crew complete with equipment depending on your requirements.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your maintenance team. That's 833-VANSIND. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
Call your foursome to tee up for prizes and great fun. It's the 27th Annual Cruise Chicago Leader Impact Golf Outing. Join Leader Impact for a fun day on the course at Bloomingdale Golf Club August 5th. Shotgun start 8:30 a.m. with lunch and awards at 1:30. A foursome is $1,000. Includes 4 squares for prizes and 12 mulligans per group. For details, email bob.blesser@gmail.com. Leader Impact, providing extraordinary experiences for business leaders and executives. Weekly meetings integrating the Christian faith.
Hi, I'm Charlie Moon. I've been in the trading game for almost 20 years, and I just discovered the most powerful trading tool I've ever seen. So if you're trading stocks or options, then listen up. This new AI-powered trade finder can find you stocks to consider trading, which have had gains as high as 1,729% and have had nearly perfect win rates. It analyzes the entire stock market in seconds and pumps out a list of trades for you to consider every single morning. And the trades it finds can be potentially profitable regardless of which direction the market is moving. So if you want in on this action, listen closely. For a short amount of time, I'm opening up free access to some of these picks and giving you the chance to get top trade ideas from the AI Trade Finder every day for 100% free. Just text TRADE to 76626. Stop trying to find the right stocks to trade on your own. Just text TRADE to 76626 now and get access to the top trades our AI finds every single day. Text TRADE to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Text TRADE to 76626.
Hi, this is Pastor Calvin from Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights. It is time to get your children and grandchildren out of the godless government schools. How can we subject our loved ones to forced, ungodly psychological examinations and perverse sexual teachings? You would not send your child to a school that teaches 2 + 2 is 5. What is being taught today is far worse and damaging to minds and hearts. We can help through our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program. For over 55 years, we have operated a Christian school now in Arlington Heights, and we have served hundreds of thousands of families across our nation and foreign countries through our homeschool program, Christian Liberty Homeschools. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or to schedule a tour of our excellent 12-acre facility. Take action today. Visit ChristianLiberty.com, ChristianLiberty.com.
Join me, Dennis Prager, on an unforgettable Bible cruise to the Caribbean, November 29th to December 8th, 2024. Imagine 9 days of basking in the sun, surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. Amid profound conversations, I'll share about the Bible and my insights into current events in a way that I believe you will really enjoy. Secure your spot on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure by calling 855-565-5519 or booking online at PragerBibleCruise.com.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth, talks about the importance of tax planning in retirement.
A qualified financial planner can take you through all the steps to show you every single legal way you can use to reduce and minimize your state income taxes across the board so that, again, you keep more of your money and your family keeps more of your money.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Let's go to Glenn in Orlando. Glenn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, good morning. The Jewish people are the indigenous people of Israel. They've been there over 4,000 years. And I recommend everybody go to the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. to see the history of the Bible and what took place in the Middle East years and centuries ago. It's a very good museum.
Thanks for the call, Glenn. Well, this was the point that Bibi made in no uncertain terms yesterday.
They call Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled? For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home.
Yeah, and the that Jewish comedian we were playing, the Zach Sage, who was doing those interviews, Zach Sage Fox, those interviews in Ramallah. I love the one. Israel's mentioned in the Quran more than 100 times. How about Palestine? Crickets. Right. Knowing what you're talking about, always makes you more compelling. That's a little tip for so many on the left.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we'll continue our talk about POTUS politics. Who has the inside track to be Kamala's VP? Will it be Pennsylvania's Josh Shapiro? We'll put that to Brett Baer at 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
The Secret Service outlines a security plan for the DNC. The Chicago Board of Education approves a nearly $10 billion budget. A dog shot and killed by police in Elgin after attacking its owners. And 2 are sentenced to federal prison for stealing mail in Chicago. White Sox get swept by the Rangers. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Obama for Harris. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The former president and ex-First Lady Michelle Obama endorsed the vice president this morning.
My girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, Brock, this means so much to me.
And Fox's Madeline Rivera reports.
Former President Obama reportedly held off on endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris because he wanted to see the party united and the nomination settled. Until the Democrats finalize Harris as their nominee, the Trump campaign says the former president isn't agreeing to any general election debates. Harris is accusing the former president of backpedaling.
In new Trump-Harris polls out since President Biden ended his campaign, the former president has a 1-point edge in a New York Times Siena survey. The Hill gives him slight leads in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, with a tie in Wisconsin. And today, former President Trump meets with Israel's prime minister after Benjamin Netanyahu met with President Biden and then Vice President Harris, who called for an end to the war in Gaza, calling Palestinian deaths and destruction devastating.
We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
There's a lot of frustration in France. Train service sabotaged hours before the Paris Olympics opening ceremony that some people may not be able to get to.
Reports say trackside signal boxes had been set on fire and cable lines deliberately cut in what authorities are calling a massive attack to destabilize the rail system. Delays affecting about 800,000 travelers.
Fox's Lillian Wu, a barely contained wildfire, has now charred about 250 square miles near Chico, California. There are evacuations.
There's a lot of anxiety in the air in this community, and understandably.
Chloe Curtis with Fox 40. Sacramento is near the flames.
A lot of damage. I mean, we've seen so much charred from trees, cars, vegetation, you name it.
A man's under arrest accused of starting the wildfire, pushing a burning car down a ravine. America's listening to Fox News.
61 degrees and sunshine. At 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Secret Service outlining security details and plans for the Democrat National Convention next month in Chicago, unveiling a pedestrian-only restricted zone around McCormick Place and the United Center.
Within these areas, pedestrians are allowed to freely move about just as they would in any normal day. These areas are not bound by fences, but rather just a series of street closures.
Temporary road closures will be in effect around both venues. A California-based company is planning a multi-billion-dollar investment in Chicago. PsiQuantum wants to build new quantum computing campuses on the former U.S. Steel Southworks site on the south side.
The potential applications are vast and transformative, from developing new life-saving drugs and next-generation electric batteries and solar cells. This quantum computer will change how the world lives, works, and heals.
In other news, we're following the Chicago Board of Education signing off on a nearly $10 billion budget over protests from the CTU.
This budget was created using a new model that moves completely away from student-based budgeting, or SBB, and provides positions and resources to schools based largely on student need. This budget includes more school funding overall when compared to last year, as well as increased funding for our highest need populations, including our special education students.
The spending plan was blasted by the teachers' union, which claims layoffs will only hurt students. A dog was killed after attacking its owners, who suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries in Elgin.
It attacked the owner, attacked both of the owners, and it finally grabbed the woman's arm, and it got both of her arms tore down to the bone.
Witnesses say the man and woman were walking their dog when it appeared to be agitated by another dog. White Sox lost to the Rangers 2-1. They're on an 11-game losing streak. They take on Seattle next. Kyle Hendricks starts for the Northsiders tonight as they take on Kansas City at Kauffman Stadium. The news, a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 right here on AM 560. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media. It says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text PREP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text PREP to 42424. That's PREP to 42424.
What does it take for organizations to triumph? It takes trust. But trust is getting harder and harder to gain, which is why over 2,700 organizations display the ECFA seal. The ECFA seal gives your organization the third-party credibility that people are literally looking for. And in turn, an estimated 14 million givers support ECFA-accredited organizations. Let us help you maintain a trusted reputation as you reach the world for Christ. Visit ecfa.org/triumph to learn more.
For anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on?
Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
7:07. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, this update is a service of Remke's Garage. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage, your Sprinter, Diesel, and Toyo Tire headquarters. Visit remkesgarage.com, REMKES Garage.com, and schedule your inspection today. Elmhurst, DuPage County accident. Southwest Avenue and North Avenue. Metra Southwest service delayed as you travel from Union Station due to earlier freight train interference. The Reagan I-88 jams up eastbound right at Roosevelt Road, and delays on the Stevenson this morning, Harlem to Kedzie. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, some hazy sunshine, our high 82. Clear tonight, low 65. Mostly sunny tomorrow and the high 88. Variable cloudiness, humid day Sunday. Afternoon shower and thunderstorm, the high at 85. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
And right now, 61 at O'Hare, 61 Midway, 54 in Aurora. And your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So who's Kamala's VP going to be? She's got about a week to wrap this up. As I mentioned yesterday, Chris LaCivita, Trump's campaign manager, tweeted out the other day that the word was it's going to be Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, which certainly makes some sense because there's a need to make up ground in Pennsylvania, and the electoral map doesn't work for the Democrats without it. So that makes some sense. But our very own Jelly Belly, Governor Spalding, is in the running.
Apparently he got the paperwork to fill out to be properly vetted.
Have you been asked by the Harris campaign to submit any paperwork to be vetted as vice president?
Well, I'm not going to talk about any private conversations that I've had, but as you know, I've been traveling the country advocating for Kamala Harris, for the Democratic ticket, and making sure that we're beating Donald Trump everywhere we can.
Okay, you're not going to tell us. I get it.
Would you accept an invitation to be her running mate?
Well, I think, I love being governor of Illinois. The people of Illinois have graced me with that title for the last 2 elections, and, I'd be reluctant to make a change, but it'd be hard to resist a call and consideration
just say yes already. God bless.
To be considered for vice president.
God. Can anybody just speak like a human being? Of course you're going to take it.
Right, well then just say it.
Of course he's going to take it. But no, I have to genuflect before the wonderful electorate who's honored me and so on and so forth. Now, follow up. The paperwork. On the paperwork, do you have to disclose all your financial holdings and tax havens, island nations that are tax havens and so forth? Yeah, I don't.
What's your BMI?
I don't think it's going to be Jelly Belly, but it wouldn't upset me if it was.
Oh, I would love to see JB and JD in a debate. I mean, here you have a man who was born with $2 billion when he was born, and somebody else who grew up with nothing.
Yeah, but J.D. Vance hates women because he made this childish cat ladies comment that the left is really trying to gain some traction with. Just for those who haven't paid attention to it, he said this a while back, and of course it resurfaces as everything does, which, by the way, that reminds some of people who are nervous about Kamala that everything that she said and done over the last decade is resurfacing and is going to resurface and is going to stick around too. So stay tuned. But anyway, Vance said we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made, so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. I mean, that's a very specific group of childless cat ladies he's talking about.
He was talking about AOC, Pete Buttigieg, and Kamala Harris.
Well, no. He mentioned them by name, but what he's talking about is sort of the awful profile. He's talking about these sort of man-hating shrews that for whom abortion is a sacrament, that live in wealthy enclaves like around Chicagoland. Think, the North Shore, River Forest, Hinsdale. And everything is about breaking through glass ceilings, and it's all sort of men versus women, and they fall prey to the identity politics along race and gender and identity lines as well. That's who he's talking about. He's talking about the radical identitarian left that is largely driven by women, the people who don pea hats to protest.
Right.
So, maybe he would have chosen his words more delicately if he had to do it over again. But, I mean, it's hardly a comment on every woman in America who chose not to have kids and so on and so forth, which, of course, is how they're trying to characterize it. Well, who's it going to be for Kamala? Bret Baier, host of Fox News Special Report, 5 p.m. Chicago time, Monday to Friday. He's also the best-selling author of To Rescue the Constitution, George Washington and the Fragile American Experiment, as well as The History Club, Duel Across Time. Bret, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Morning.
So Josh Shapiro is the leader in the clubhouse?
Not sure. For all the words that Governor Pritzker used to say yes, he could be. No, I actually don't think he's one of the ones that they would choose. I think it was maybe a thank you to put him on the list. I actually think that Governor Roy Cooper from North Carolina is higher than people think. It's a state that he has a lot of popularity, and it's also a state that they think that they can get. It's pretty close. Shapiro is clearly a great state as far as they want to get that state, but being an advocate for Israel as vocally as he is not, part of the plan.
Well, what about Tim Walz from Minnesota?
Just hold on a second. What a commentary that is. Yeah. Isn't that a commentary that the Shapiro may not the biggest problem with Shapiro for the Democrats is that he's Jewish and he's committed to the state of Israel.
Yeah, I'm just giving you the politics here in Washington. When 35 Democrats don't show up for Netanyahu's speech, and neither does Vice President Harris, they're clearly trying to tiptoe around this issue.
Yeah.
And signal something different.
Well, Minnesota seems to be in play lately. Is that a possibility, Tim Walz?
Yeah, and they like him. They think he's fiery. They like him on those interviews. It's Midwest. Minnesota should be a blue state, but it's actually single digits, and some polls have Trump leading. So that would be kind of a holding ground. He does attack J.D. Vance pretty quickly.
Both candidates now have said, let's debate. Kamala says, let's debate. Trump says, let's debate, plural. Let's do multiple debates. Fox News, Bret Baier, going to get in on that action?
We have a formal request in, Martha and I, in Pennsylvania. We put the date at September 17th, but that was to be negotiated as well as the format. We hope so. President Trump has already agreed, and we'll see if Vice President Harris does. President Trump said he had a problem with ABC. We had already put our request in prior to him saying that, but he also said he wants to wait until the Democrats lock in their nominee because there's been a little back and forth on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about a town hall setting for you guys, for Fox? Is that a possibility?
We would do town halls. I think it's, the main general election debate format is one that people want to see. But we would do town halls in a heartbeat.
I mean, it seems to me that Trump is sticking with the strategy he had with Biden, which is let's do multiple debates. Let's, whatever you want to do, I'm open to. I just wanted to get you on a debate stage.
I agree. Anytime, any place. I do think that they gave up a lot of leverage in how they said yes. You could have said yes, but they agreed to every format, everything the Biden campaign wanted, in essence, just to get them on the stage. And this, I think they're thinking about, at least having some say in the format and the location.
The rollout of Kamala. I mean, I know that what choice do they have? That she is their ride or die now, so that everybody has to put on a happy face and at least feign enthusiasm. But I have to go back to what the handle was on her for these many months that the same people were propping up Biden, which is we got to prop up Biden because our alternative is Kamala, and that's even worse. And now we're supposed to believe that this is, a generational leader who has emerged from emerged from off stage and is, this unbelievable political talent that is going to rise to the occasion and so on and so forth. Do Democrats who are skeptical of her, do they really believe the stuff they're saying about her today?
I don't know. You're right. It's a big change. I mean, there was a big worry. In fact, if you remember last year, there was a whole effort in the Democratic Party to talk about maybe replacing Kamala.
Right.
Because they thought that was the vulnerability for Biden because he was so old that maybe that would shore him up. That's not the case now, and clearly they're circling the wagons, and everybody's fired up and enthusiastic. I would just point to James Carville, who said, you guys are getting a little too giddy too soon because they're coming. They're coming. And that means that all those things she said before as a presidential candidate, all of those things that did not get her to the Iowa caucuses, that made all the money dry up, that got her zero support, they're coming out in an ad and many ads, and you've already seen them in swing states.
Have you already asked for a one-on-one interview with Kamala Harris?
Of course. We've had a request in for Vice President Harris for months, and then we renewed everything once she was the presumptive nominee. So, I would take an interview with President Biden, too.
Sure. I don't. Is there any sort of behind the scenes that you can share with us as to what the anticipation is of how much we'll see Biden between now and November 5th?
I don't think we're going to see him a lot. I really don't. The fact that you have world leaders scheduling independent solo meetings with Vice President Harris, I mean, we essentially have a co-presidency when it comes to foreign policy. And that's, it can be a dangerous thing because foreign leaders don't know who really to go towards. And I don't think we're going to see him a lot. He says he's going to be on the campaign trail, but show me the swing state senator that wants to campaign with President Biden.
Right.
Yeah, and he said he's going to be at the DNC as well. But I feel like we have two presidents right now. So who's running the show?
Well, this is exactly the question that Peter Doocy, your colleague, put to Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday, and this was the response. Take a listen, Brett.
Topic. Russia and China are teaming up in the skies near Alaska for the first time ever. Are you getting a sense yet, based on everything that's been going on, that some of America's enemies might be looking at what's happening here and think there's nobody in charge?
So let me just say this. There is very much someone in charge. The president is the president until the end of his term. So that statement is certainly false. And we have seen the president bring together our allies and partners. He reinvigorated NATO.
Yeah, so then you go to the whole record of accomplishment after you say the president is still the president. Yes, technically that's true, but that's not really answering the question, which, of course, Karine Jean-Pierre is instructed not to do.
Right, exactly. I think it's a really interesting moment because we have very dangerous times. I mean, what Peter's referencing is these bombers, Chinese and Russian planes, come really close to Alaska. We scramble jets. That was 45 minutes before Biden spoke in the Oval Office. If you don't think that was meant to send a signal, I'm pretty sure it was.
Bret Baier is the host of Fox News Special Report, 5 p.m. weekdays, Chicago time. Best-selling author of To Rescue the Constitution, George Washington and the Fragile American Experiment, as well as The History Club, Duel Across Time. Bret, thank you as always.
You bet.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Rollins Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. It's a great feeling. Rollins also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Rollins family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Rollins Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RollinsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Rollins Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
In the 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, abortion has become big business in Illinois, thanks to that VP contender, J.B. Pritzker. While other states have restricted abortions, Illinois has become a destination for women looking for abortions. You can help to reverse that trend by supporting a great organization called Preborn. Research shows that when pregnant girls or young women see their babies on an ultrasound, they're far more likely to choose life for that child. And Preborn provides ultrasounds for mothers facing crisis pregnancy centers. The cost of an ultrasound is just $28. That's it. It's all it takes to save the life of a baby. Your gift of $28 can give a mother who is abortion-minded the chance to see the truth of the baby that's growing inside her. For a gift of $140, you can do that for 5 moms and their babies. Maybe you're someone who has the means to give a gift of $15,000. If so, that's what it costs to purchase an ultrasound machine that can save the lives of thousands of babies for years to come. Regardless of what you're able to give, don't wait. Your gift to Preborn can make an immediate impact. To give that gift, just go to 560theanswer.com/preborn. That's one word, Preborn, Preborn. Again, the website 560theanswer.com/preborn, or call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
AM 560 listeners, sign up today to receive a free financial education video series, The 5 Retirement Pitfalls and How to Avoid Them, courtesy of Steve Shyman, host of Protecting Your Assets radio show, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Sign up is easy, and the 5-part video series is completely free and will arrive in your email inbox. Sign up today. It's free. Please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283. Again, please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283.
There's an issue cutting through the bipartisan bickering in Congress. It's AM radio. The overwhelming majority of legislators, Democrats and Republicans, support a bill to keep AM radio in cars. But time is running out. Text AM to 52886 and ask Congress to bring this bill to the floor for a vote now. AM radio is too important to let this moment pass us by.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Leica Microsystems Incorporated seeks a global support application specialist in Deer Park, Illinois, to act as the field specialist/customer advocate for all instrument and applications-related issues reported from the field. Qualified candidates must have bachelor's degree or foreign degree equivalent in biology or related scientific field and 3 years of experience. 15% travel, partial telecommute available. Please send resumes to harmon.brown@leica-microsystems.com. That's harmon.brown@leica-microsystems.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so just talking about that J.D. Vance comment that the left is trying to use to whip the distaff side into a frenzy, particularly the childless members of the distaff side. J.D. Vance doing some damage control on that statement.
Now let me do the necessary throat clearing because I do think it's important.
look, a lot of people are unable to have kids for very complicated and important reasons. I know, good friends of mine who have struggled to find the right girl, find the right guy. There are people, of course, for biological reasons, medical reasons, that can't have children. The target of these remarks is not them. It's important to point that out. There have always been people like that who, even though they would like to have kids, unable to have them. Let's set them to the side.
And then he just went on how he was targeting certain politicians who make certain policies.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had a president who didn't have kids. That's a true statement.
Yeah. She has stepchildren.
Yeah. Anyway, but there's certainly politicians that don't. The point is, as I said with our conversation, I mean, did you take offense to that? I mean, you obviously have kids, but Peyton and Eli. But I mean, did you
I have
find
friends that don't have kids? It's been very painful trying IVF, and they've spent tens of thousands of dollars and still nothing. I have friends that are liberals who didn't have kids because of the climate. I know.
Well, okay.
And of course, they took offense to this.
Well, they should take offense to it because that's who he's talking about to some extent. But he's really not even talking about the rank and file nutcases like the ones that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, if the choice to not have kids is based on you think the Earth is going to burn up in 10 years, then you're a nutcase. Then you don't live in reality. I'm sorry.
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, they're not having a third or fourth kid because of the environment.
Also nutcases. Thank you for...
She's a fellow Northwestern grad.
It's a standard that's applicable no matter who is the
well, in part, though, when we were little girls in school, they told us not to have multiple children. I remember it well.
Well,
overpopulating the earth, and there's not enough resources.
Well, that's because you went to a totalitarian re-education camp for school. If you went to a more enlightened place, you had a lot of people that didn't buy into that zero population growth, population bomb propaganda, because was just an earlier iteration of the same don't have kids because your carbon footprint will be too big, or because you'll cause Miami to be underwater. I mean, get a grip.
It was River Trails Middle School. I
remember
it well.
Okay. Well, I mean, they put very innocent sounding names on these totalitarian re-education camps, because if you put totalitarian re-education camp on it, fewer people would attend. That's how it works. But I mean, again, JD, we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies miserable at their own lives. So he's talking about people that are in positions of authority that fit that awful profile. I mean, he's not talking about somebody who's trying to get pregnant and then they have to IVF or they look at adoption as an option, or people who choose for whatever reason not to have kids. Everybody has to take things so personally rather than look at who the target is. And again, I mean, if you're somebody that fits that description, like the power structure in corporate America, so many of the females in that power structure, or in the Democrat Party, then yeah, he is talking about you. And the description is accurate.
My friend has cats. My friend has 2 cats.
Oh, the nutcase who's not having kids because of the climate? And does she have a big corporate job? Yeah, right. So basically, J.D. Vance has her dead to rights, is what you're saying. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad we have an example.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning
Did you want to name your friend? No. Give her some notoriety?
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk Kamalanomics versus Trumponomics with Steve Moore, 737.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
We're at 7:30 on AM 560, The Answer, and disruptions and chaos in France topping our news. French National Rail Company says high-speed lines have been hit by arson attacks, disrupting traffic on day one of the high-risk Olympics opening ceremony. Now, it's not just gumming up inbound traffic into Paris. Lots of Parisians are fleeing the city for a month because of the Olympics, and it's also vacation time, and they are leaving Paris now unable to do so. U.S. Justice Department saying Ismael Amayo Zambada, longtime leader of the Sinaloa cartel of Mexico, and Joaquin Guzman Lopez, son of another infamous cartel leader, have been nabbed, arrested by authorities in Texas.
The Justice Department will not rest until every single cartel leader, member, and associate responsible for poisoning our communities is held accountable.
Attorney General Merrick Garland in Washington, families of American hostages held captive by Hamas say they're feeling more optimistic after a meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister.
We got absolute commitment from the Biden administration and from Prime Minister Netanyahu that they understand the urgency of this moment now, to waste no time and to complete this deal as it currently stands.
Jonathan Deckel-Hen, 8 American hostages are still being held. Boeing finalizing a plea agreement this morning with the Justice Department involving the plane manufacturer pleading guilty to conspiracy and paying about $250 million in fines. Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling says outside police agencies that will help secure the Democrat National Convention next month will not be posted in city neighborhoods.
Our job is to uphold the Constitution, and that is exactly what we're going to do. What we will not tolerate is vandalism to our city. What we will not tolerate is violent activity. If we see that, we will put an end to it quickly.
At that same press conference, Governor Pritzker remained tight-lipped on whether he's being considered a possible running mate for Vice President Kamala Harris. A North Carolina girl is safe after being rescued from a man who sexually abused her in Lake County. Authorities say the United States Marshals Service received information about a missing 15-year-old girl that may be located in Green Oaks. Investigators discovered the teen was in the home early this week. Andrew Check was seen leaving the home with the victim Wednesday. He was arrested. The victim rescued. Chicago sports, White Sox have lost 11 straight following a 2-1 loss to the Rangers. They take on Seattle tonight. Cubs will battle Kansas City this weekend. The news a service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ant Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. With over $800 million in sales, call 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
If you claim to stand for unity,
An already unprecedented election season
you need to do more than just use the word.
just got even more complicated.
I'm never going to drop out, and now I'm dropping out.
As Kamala Harris prepares to become the Democratic nominee.
I'd vote for Kamala.
There's an incredible bench in the Democratic Party.
29 days until they have to make a decision on a nominee.
What happens next happens here
Kamala Harris, not a fan.
on your election station.
I don't think Kamala has a chance to beat Trump.
AM 560. The Answer.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. Here's a proposed bumper sticker or hashtag for the times we live in. MOFA. Make Orwell fiction again. We've just been whiplashed. Joe Biden was just the most capable man to be president who could run circles around his staff. Now, he's passing the torch, and there's no real explanation. Is it polling, his physical, mental infirmity, or both? We aren't told. But, borrowing from Orwell, we're forced to memory hole all the recent statements of his great ability and agility. Memory hold as well as Biden's 2021 appointment of Kamala Harris as border czar. Now, we're told it was never her job or title. It doesn't stop there. Harris has long been ranked the most liberal U.S. senator by the website GovTrack. Now, that page is down. Memory hold as well. Don't miss what's happening. VP Kamala Harris has just been virtually coronated as the nominee, receiving absolutely 0 votes along the way. And our elite media enterprise complies in downright Orwellian fashion. Let's make Orwell fiction again.
You've worked hard and accumulated wealth, but you know the pitfalls involved in passing significant assets to your heirs. The team at Spahn Financial will help you feel secure with personalized financial planning to achieve your legacy goals. They anticipate and manage all your wealth planning needs and focus on the full financial picture, including tax efficiency, income distribution throughout retirement, philanthropic giving, estate planning, and more. They even help you prepare the next generation to be good stewards. Kevin Spahn is a 2024 Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisor and Barron's Top 1200 Financial Advisor. Visit SpanFinancial.com to schedule a consultation and to view disclosures. That's SPAHMFinancial.com. Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisors List, April 2024. Data as of 6/30/2023. Barron's Top 1,200 Financial Advisors List, March 2024. Data as of 9/30/2023. No compensation provided for ratings. Marketing fees apply to promote ratings.
You've heard Remke's Garage commercials on AM 560, and now they specialize in servicing Sprinters and light-duty diesels. But the experts at Remke's also service Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. So if you own an Isuzu or Chevy low-cab forward truck but aren't sure where to get it repaired, take it to Remke's Garage, your #1 dealer alternative for repairs to your Isuzu NPR, Isuzu F-Series, or Chevy low-cab forward truck. Whether gas or diesel, your truck is the lifeline of your business. That's why Remke's Garage offers free loaners while your truck is being serviced. They'll even pick up and deliver for your convenience. Remke's Garage has the factory scan tool to properly diagnose Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. Their commitment to your business is backed with a complimentary maintenance plan and free 2-year warranty. Go to Remke'sGarage.com to learn more about their specialization in Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks and schedule your appointment today. That's Remke's, REMKES, Garage.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads now. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Valdecast Windows, for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement. Contact Valdecast Windows for your service. Your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. We'll start on the Kennedy, 40 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the Stevenson inbound between Central and Kenzie. I-55 in Will County. A rollover accident has a right lane block southbound at Route 59. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Hazy sunshine, 82 for a high temp today. Clear and 65 overnight. Mostly sunny and 63 right now. Sunny and 57 in Morris. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just a side note. Those pro-Hamas protesters, the terrorist sympathizers, if not terrorists themselves, hard to know exactly.
Yeah, who were burning the American flag while Benjamin Netanyahu was speaking.
The ones that you probably saw the video of them battering police officers who were attempting to arrest someone.
And they also wrote Hamas is coming and F America
Well,
all over the Liberty Bell.
All the vandalism in addition to that, too, right?
And raising their flag.
Listening to these big city cops like Chief Snelling here in Chicago talk about how they're not going to tolerate vandalism in Chicago during the RNC. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Big statement. But anyway, the people that, the pro-Hamas protesters who battered police officers attempting to do their job, charges dropped. And people who did the same thing on January 6th got multiple-year prison sentences.
Yeah, and some are still in prison. Some were put in solitary confinement. And this coming after Bevelyn Betty Williams. She just got sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for preaching the gospel in front of an abortion clinic.
Yeah, so...
Does this sound like equal justice to you?
Well, being a new speaking of big cities, being a new Bolshevik is a veritable get-out-of-jail-free card in big blue city America. It just is. That's the political leadership as they talk about freedom and no one's above the law and so on and so forth. More lies. Speaking of big blue cities and big blue states, Joel Kotkin has a good piece over at the American Mind, The Triumph of Red States. Kotkin, not a Trump fan, really a long-time conservative Democrat. He's at Chapman University. Did a podcast with them a while back. Very good. He wrote the book called Neo-Feudalism, the Coming Neo-Feudalism, which is very good. Very interesting sociologist. He writes about who's doing well and who isn't. Forget the presidential election. The real contest about the future direction of the country has already taken place, and it's the red states that are clearly winning. Texas, Nevada, Florida, Arkansas experienced the nation's highest personal income growth. In contrast, ultra blue California ranked last, followed closely by Maryland, Massachusetts, New York. Sunbelt states dominate the list of fastest job creators, while California, Massachusetts, Illinois, and Oregon rank towards the bottom. Overall, in the past decade, the 6 fastest growing southern states, Florida, Texas, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Tennessee, added more to the GDP than the Northeast, the traditional economic powerhouse. He goes on to observe, in an era where the media and investors obsess over the latest craze, be it Bitcoin or AI, the states that have done the best also tend to retain energy-dependent industries such as agriculture, resource extraction, and increasingly manufacturing. Until the recent wave of climate-related regulations, much heavy industry and high-tech manufacturing remained in states like California and New York, but the ascendancy of draconian climate regulation, Gavin Newsom, has had a strong impact on blue-collar jobs, a traditional source of upward mobility. The best areas for industry are in the Southeast and Utah, while California lost almost 800,000 manufacturing jobs in the last 30 years. Oil and gas, once a major industry in the state, is now slated for extinction, while construction and logistics have been slower than in competitor states. Well, it's the same story in Chicagoland. Yeah. So, it's a real contrast given the 2 presidential candidates, particularly since one was president. We have a pretty good idea what his economic policies will be. For more on the new matchup, any different than the old matchup? Pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, author of GovZilla. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, guys. By the way, I just have to comment on something Amy said earlier about the what's happened to these, quote, insurrectionists who've been put in jail. You know, Amy, you are so right. And I have friends who were there on January 6th. That was, 3.5 years ago, and they did not go in the Capitol. They were exercising their First Amendment rights of peaceful assembly. They did not enter. They just were on the Capitol grounds, and they've been treated like terrorists.
Yep.
I mean, you're right. You've got people that were put in solitary confinement. The government has thrown the book at these people. Worse than rapists and murderers. It is so outrageous the way these folks have been treated. Again, I think people who entered the Capitol, I think they should be prosecuted. Be people who were just there protesting. How in the world is that illegal to be protesting something in a peaceful manner? And so this is still going on. By the way, there are people that are still in jail that never entered the Capitol. So somebody explain to me how that is illegal.
Well, someone explain to me how somebody can beat up a U.S. Parks police officer and get out the next day. I mean, it's on video. This is not a hard case to solve.
I know. And so I was so pleased that you brought that up, because we cannot let those. There are still people in jail 3.5 years later that did not enter the Capitol, did not assault a policeman or a security guard, and so on. So I'm so glad we cannot forget those folks. I mean, you've got Putin putting this Wall Street Journal reporter in jail, and we're all horrified by that. But folks, this is happening in America. So, okay, now the second point I wanted to make, Dan, is just to riff off what you're talking about this red state blue state thing, because we talk about that almost every day in our hotline. And the big story here is, the headline really is that for the first time in American history, do you know what region of the country now produces the most goods and services?
The South.
Yeah, the Southeast. For the first time in history, it's always been the Northeast, right? Because that was New York and Philadelphia and Boston And that was the industrial center and financial center of America. It no longer is.
Well,
now
Florida, Texas, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Tennessee, right?
Carolina, yeah, exactly. And that tells you a lot. And so, these liberals keep saying, oh, we can just keep raising taxes. It's not going to affect people's behavior. It's not going to affect where they live. Yeah, it sure does. I mean, Florida, Texas, and Tennessee have no income tax. The Carolinas are booming. Cities like Charlotte, cities like Atlanta, cities like Austin and Dallas. And then, by the way, you go to the mountain states, but one of the other two fastest growing states are Utah and Idaho. They're getting all the Californians. So this is happening. And the reason it's important is that taxes do matter. That big government and regulation, all these things are important. And one of the most important statistics about where these businesses locate is whether you are a right-to-work state, because businesses are flocking to the states that say, you can't force people to join unions. Now, why is that important? Because Kamala Harris wants to basically eliminate right-to-work laws, so that everyone in every state would be like Illinois, where you'd be forced to join a union against your will. I'm not against unions, but I am against forcing someone to pay union dues if they don't want to be a member of that organization.
How are you? I mean, we can continue on the Kamalanomics versus Trumponomics. I think it's fairly straightforward. But how are you on J.D. Vance as the pick? We haven't had a chance to talk, and so I wanted to get your perspective on that, particularly because he's not a particular fan of right to work either.
Well, you'll have to ask Larry Kudlow about that one. I mean, I'm going to just have a big no comment on that one, okay? But look, I have some concerns about J.D. Vance, and I'm not going to criticize him publicly. I know JD is a smart guy. He votes pretty conservatively in the Senate. But do I have some concerns about some of his positions? I do. But the most important thing that's happened in the last, this has been a whirlwind of a week or two. But, obviously Kamala is now, it looks like 95%. She will be the Democratic nominee. I guess she just got Barack Obama's endorsement, right?
Yeah, yes. And Michelle, don't forget.
Yeah. So here's the thing. What's really surprised me about this the last 4 or 5 days when all this happened is, if I'm running Kamala Harris's campaign, I'm like saying, I'm not Joe Biden. He did these things. I'm not responsible for these things. I'm going to have my own policies. But she has not done that, folks. She has completely wrapped herself around, her arms around Joe Biden, said, this is the greatest president ever. 4 more, you would have lucked me, and we're going to have 4 more years of this. And I'm like, really? Does anybody want 4 more years of this chaos and crisis and so on? So she is now basically attached at the hip to Joe Biden. And if anything, by the way, you guys know this, but she wins the Olympic gold medal for the most liberal senator in the United States Senate when she was there. She just edged out Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden. Now, somebody's got to
Bernie Sanders.
How do you get to the left? I mean, Bernie Sanders. How do you get to the left of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren? I didn't think there was any room there.
Well, I know you want to ban red meat. That'll help you get there. So yeah, she's you compare ICE to the KKK. That'll help get you there. I mean, the examples are legion, aren't they?
Yeah, and I do think this Jussie Smollett incident is just so revealing, right? Because and by the way, it wasn't until very recently she actually took down her tweets about him. This complete fraud, and she's the first one out there. I mean, she's a real race baiter. I mean, she really is. Everything's about race. Everything we are a racist country. We're systemically racist, and everything that happens is due to American racism. I think people are getting a little sick of that.
But what about her stance on Israel? I mean, considering her husband is Jewish. And he actually went to those encampments at Harvard and other Ivy League schools to try and work out a deal. And then she comes out and says she had a frank conversation with Netanyahu.
Doug, go home.
Yeah.
Doug is trying to work something out. That's funny.
Well, he did.
I know, it's funny.
It is. It is funny. And look, this is a pretty radical woman. I mean, she's got a pretty smile, and she's
not really
dynamic personality, but she is a real true believer in the left wing cause. I didn't think we could do worse than Joe Biden, But, she may be to the left of where he is on his policies. And again, I'm surprised she's not saying, well, I didn't favor this policy. I didn't favor that one. She provided the you guys know, the tie-breaking vote for the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which poured more gasoline on the fire of inflation. So she's got a lot of explaining to do.
The other thing, too, we continue to see, which should be incorporated into the Trump campaign messaging as well as messaging for all sensible Republicans, is have you noticed how the left's big gambits, people continue to walk away from them now that the consequences are being felt a little bit? So you have like Germany walking away from the elimination of fossil fuels and the sunsetting of nuclear power plants because they figured out they can't power their industrial economy with switchgrass and windmills and solar panels, and so that's happening. You have corporations walking back from their DEI madness, and you have it started with rental car fleets, and now I see from your Unleash Prosperity newsletter, Porsche scaling back their 80% EV goal by 2030 because nobody wants an EV Porsche.
There's a lot there. I would just say a couple of things. That we are still using 83% of our energy today in the United States still comes from old-fashioned fossil fuels, oil, gas, and coal. Why? Because they are by far the most efficient way to get energy. And so there is a lie out there that the media keeps repeating that we're in the middle of this kind of green energy transition. We're not. There's no green energy transition. The United States and the world are using more fossil fuels today than ever before, even after spending hundreds and hundreds of billions, maybe trillions of dollars trying to nurture these what was it, switchgrass, you said?
Yeah, right.
And we're going to use windmills, and we're going to use, we're going to use solar paneling stuff. Gee, we never thought of that before. They were using this stuff in the Middle Ages, and what caused the Industrial Revolution was that we finally figured out a better way to get electricity than blowing the wind. And so this is a dumb idea, and you're right. Europe finally has figured it out. We haven't. But the other thing is, the worst thing that ever happened to the EV industry, I really believe this, because, I'm not against EVs. Teslas can be really great cars. It's the fact that Biden has trying to force feed us on it, and there's been a resistance, a backlash. I think that the industry would be further along today if Trump had been elected than Biden, despite the fact that Biden's throwing – what are they doing? How much do you get paid to buy an EV? I think it's $7,500. The government's basically bribing you to buy the car, and people still aren't buying them.
Right. Yeah. People
who don't need a tax break.
People making $60,000, providing a tax, providing a subsidy for people buying $90,000, $100,000 cars too. The whole reverse Robin Hood thing too, which is a staple of the left. But the other.
By the way, can I just mention one quick thing? I think I'm going to buy it. I'm being totally honest. I think my wife and I are going to go buy an EV. You know why? Ooh. They are so cheap right now. They can't get rid of them.
Yeah, right.
So you can get, seriously, and the government's going to pay me to buy it. When I say the government, I mean you all listening to this show.
Right.
Thank you. You're going to help me.
Right.
No, but thanks a lot, Steve.
But that's the other thing too. Just talking about windmills. I'm not opposed to wind power as part of the portfolio of energy production, but one of the things that everybody should know, this is Econ 101, is one of the reasons windmill technology hasn't advanced as far as it could have is because it's subsidized. Right. So if you really want these energies to develop, you have to subject them to market forces. And that, by the way, includes fossil fuels, too. I don't support energy subsidies there as well. But the windmills are such clunkers because they're underwritten by state and federal governments.
Wait. You're behind the times, Dan.
Am I?
Because we figured out. Yes, because we figured out what we're going to do with these windmills. If you read the hotline, you know.
Yes, I was setting you up. I saw that. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know about this, but what we're going to do is take all the windmills that are broken, and there's just graveyards full of old windmills. We're going to use those big turbines to build the wall.
Oh, that'll stop them. Watch out for the blades.
Yeah.
Finally, something good's going to come out of
I didn't know there
those,
was a graveyard for broken windmills.
Yeah.
Where's this?
Yeah,
It's right
they're-
next to the graveyard for animal wildlife,
Well,
particularly
there's a
birds.
graveyard of unused planes in Panaca.
They're also toxic. Whatever happened to the we're going to need those. What did they call those things? Those funds they used to have for all the toxic.
Super fund.
Super fund. We're going to need a super fund for windmills.
Right.
But
yeah.
we can't make this stuff up.
No,
But,
we destroy the environment by going green. That's how bad leftist policies are. Steve Moore, economist, GovZilla author. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, have a great one. Take care.
You too. Bye. He joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line, by the way.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Brandon Tatum weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by Charlie Kirk at 7. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
AM 560, The Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk to James Gagliano, retired FBI supervisory special agent, about Trump's comments on Christopher Wray resigning if he didn't see any cognitive decline in President Biden. That's where we'll start at 8:08. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Secret Service outlining a security plan for the DNC. The White Sox get swept by the Rangers. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Our 44th president wants Kamala Harris to be our 47th. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Former President Obama and ex-First Lady Michelle endorsed the vice president in the call.
Harris has quickly amassed the endorsements of nearly every major Democratic player since President Biden dropped out of the race on Sunday. She has also secured the pledges of a majority of Democratic delegates and has raised more than $100 million in campaign cash.
Fox's Jared Halpern of the White House. New polls out show a closer race. The last New York Times Siena survey in the Trump-Biden race gave the former president a 6-point lead. He now only leads the vice president in a new one by 1 point.
And I'll tell you, I'm ready to debate Donald Trump. I have agreed to the previously agreed upon September 10th debate. He agreed to that previously. Now it appears he's backpedaling.
The Trump campaign says it'll work out debates after Democrats have an official nominee. The vice president also says after a meeting with Israel's prime minister,
it is time for this war to end.
and end in a way where Israel is secure, all the hostages are released.
Adding she will not stay silent on the suffering of Palestinian civilians in Gaza. Today, Prime Minister Netanyahu is in Florida to meet with former President Trump. Hours before the Paris Olympics opening ceremony, some people are having a hard time getting there after train service was disrupted in France.
Authorities saying overnight there were multiple coordinated malicious attacks on the country's iconic high-speed train lines. The acts of arson were described as sabotage, criminal, aimed at destabilizing the games.
Fox's Greg Palcott. We just got an inflation update showing a slight rise last month from May, but the annual rate of inflation increase declined from 2.6% to 2.5% in a gauge called personal consumption expenditures. The Federal Reserve closely watches deciding when to cut interest rates. America's listening to Fox News.
63 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The Secret Service outlining security plans for the DNC next month in Chicago. Increased security measures now being put in place around the United Center and McCormick Place, putting in place restricted zones.
Within these areas, pedestrians are allowed to freely move about just as they would in any normal day. These areas are not bound by fences, but rather just a series of street closures.
Renewed attention on out-of-town police comes after Ohio officers in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention earlier this month, according to Milwaukee police, saved the life of a pair of homeless men after a man wielding knives at a park attacked the men not far from the RNC, rescuing the men and killing the suspect. Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling says outside police agencies that will help with the DNC will not be posted in any city neighborhoods. Governor Pritzker continuing to remain tight-lipped about whether he's being considered a possible running mate for Vice President Kamala Harris. A 15-year-old girl is dead following a shooting in Round Lake Beach. Valeria Rodriguez was simply eating inside of a home Wednesday night in the 1500 block of Cherokee Drive when she was shot. 2 men are going to federal prison for using Postal Service keys to steal mail in Chicago. Joe Solomon was sentenced to 2 years. Thaddeus Harper receiving 20 months behind bars. And Bally's has accepted a buyout offer from its largest shareholder for more than $4.5 billion. The buyout announced as Bally's continue to work to build a new casino along the Chicago River. It also currently operates a struggling temporary casino at the Medina Temple. The news is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com, 855-563-2843, and NMLS 1124061. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to a fresh inflation reading, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index for June. Demand is holding up for Colgate-Palmolive's products, which include Tom's of Maine, Irish Spring, Ajax soft soap, and other brands. Its earnings topped estimates, and it's standing by its forecast for the year. Bristol-Myers Squibb's earnings topped expectations, and it's raising its outlook. 3M shares up nearly 6% to the highest level in nearly 2 years after its upbeat earnings and forecast. Reuters is reporting that Walmart plans to spend potentially $200 million on autonomous forklifts. Walmart has been using some Fox Robotics forklifts at high-tech distribution centers. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
AM 560 news time is 8:05. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
If you claim to stand for unity,
An already unprecedented election season.
you need to do more
more than just use the word.
just got even more complicated.
I'm never going to drop out, and now I'm dropping out.
As Kamala Harris prepares to become the Democratic nominee.
I'd vote for Kamala.
There's an incredible bench in the Democratic Party.
29 days until they have to make a decision on a nominee.
What happens next happens here.
Kamala Harris, not a fan.
On your election station.
I don't think Kamala has a chance to beat Trump.
AM 560. The Answer.
If it's time for a new roof, your siding's looking old, you need new windows, gutters, or a reliable restoration company, trust me, AAA Roofing Contractors is who to call. They're the real deal. And speaking of deals, AAA offers a wide range of discounts, including military and healthcare provider discounts. And due to the recent storm, AAA Roofing Contractors is giving out free inspections in your neighborhood. The storm may have caused a lot of damage to your property, so please don't hesitate to reach out. AAA Roofing Contractors specializes specifically in insurance restoration claims. They're here to help you every step of the way so you get what you deserve. They value every shingle customer. In fact, they make sure clients are 100% satisfied. Schedule a free home improvement consultation now. Call 847-730-4026 or book online at arcroofinginc.com. Roofing, siding, gutters, windows. Family-owned AAA does it all and does it right and are insurance specialists. That's 847-730-4026. arcroofinginc.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. Since 1969, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space. Make your home feel brighter and more spacious. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we're proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text PREP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text PREP to 42424. That's PREP to 42424.
8:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound, a manageable 41 into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson inbound 31 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Quiet on the tri-state, except for southbounders. You have an accident with a right lane blocked between the Grand Avenue curve on 294 and the Eisenhower Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, some hazy sunshine, our high 82. Clear tonight, low 65. Mostly sunny tomorrow, and the high 88. Variable cloudiness, humid day Sunday. Afternoon shower and thunderstorm, the high at 85. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
64 at Midway, 56 in Aurora, 59 in Joliet, 56 in Kankakee, 67 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So now all of those who were telling us how probing and exacting, rigorous Joe Biden was are getting asked, you're sure you're sticking with that story? You never saw any evidence of mental decline, including Christopher Wray. FBI director was asked that the other day in the congressional hearing, talking mainly about the FBI investigation, the Secret Service. And Wray said that it's not something I observed during my interactions with him, which were uneventful and unremarkable. Trump took to Truth Social and said of that comment by FBI Director Wray, if that is the case, Director Wray should resign immediately from the FBI and stop sweet-talking Congress every time he goes up, which he loves to do, because anybody can see that Joe Biden is cognitively and physically challenged, and if you can't see that, you sure as hell can't be running the FBI, unless that is you want to illegally raid Mar-a-Lago. Wray has to resign, and now for lying to Congress. Well, I suppose the good news, at least from my perspective, is if Trump is elected on November 5th, which I believe he will be, then I don't think we're going to have a real delay in replacing the FBI director like we had the first go-around with Comey.
I mean, we could do a whole topic. Who would you fire first? But he's got to get there first.
James Gagliano is a retired FBI supervisory special agent and doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's. He also serves as mayor of the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson in New York, and he's on the board of directors of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund as well. James Gagliano, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thanks for having me. How's everybody doing?
Good. What do you think about Trump's latest call, frankly, for Christopher Wray to resign? There's so many reasons. The latest being a belief that he's being less than forthright about his interactions with Joe Biden.
All right. Well, Dan, since you asked me that, I'll ask you this. Do you want me to weigh in as I never use the term expert, as a law enforcement analyst, which I'm happy to do, 25 years in the FBI, as you pointed out, or as the sitting mayor of an upstate village in New York State? Because unfortunately, in today's day and age, and this wasn't the case, less than a decade ago, politics unfortunately intertwines itself with law enforcement. We've certainly seen that, across the past decade. And I preface it by saying this. I was a huge supporter of Director Wray. There have only been 8 Senate-appointed FBI directors in the history of the FBI. That's 1908 until today. We're celebrating our 116th anniversary just a couple of days ago, and I served under 4 of those 8. Now you're going to say, well, how's that possible? 116 years. J. Edgar Hoover was at the helm for 48 years, across, right. 8 different presidents. So here's where I stand on this. Director Wray is a tough job, and trust me, I've watched him be, banged up and bullied on Capitol Hill. And obviously you're referencing his appearance before the Senate Oversight and Accountability Committee. And I thought he provided more clarity, gave better answers, didn't hide behind, ongoing investigation. I cannot speak to that. Ongoing investigation, I'm sorry, I'll have to get back to you on that. I was disappointed in a couple of things that he said. He did mention as an aside, and it didn't really get much play in the press until much later, that the president may not have been hit in the ear with a ballistic round, with a bullet from the young man who fired at him 8 times, and it might have been something else. And today, and I'll share this with you and your listeners, because it's a brand new statement out from the FBI, and it says, this statement is attributable to the FBI. Since the day of the attack, the FBI has been consistent and clear that the shooting was an attempted assassination of former President Trump, which resulted in his injury. And it goes on for a bit, and he says that the FBI's shooting reconstruction team continues to examine evidence from the scene, including bullet fragments, and the investigation remains ongoing. So, of course, in the political realm, former President Donald Trump is going to use that to make hay, to say, hey, look, he said that he couldn't tell whether or not President Biden might have cognitive ability issues right now, and how crazy is that? Because we've all seen it. And then he's also saying this, that maybe I didn't get shot by a bullet, that actually it was something else. So FBI director's in a tough spot. I appreciate cabinet members and obviously the directors of federal law enforcement. They have a tough needle to thread. They are political appointees, but the American public expects them to be nonpartisan and apolitical. So how's that for threading the needle on my end, on the FBI part and on the political part?
Do you think President Trump was shot?
I do. Now, having said that, and let me make this patently clear, I am talking to nobody who's engaged in the investigation. I do not have inside information. Nobody is leaking information to me. As a member of the media, I write and I speak in media realms, and as a retired FBI agent and a sitting political figure, I don't have any inside information. Does it appear that there could have been something else that could have struck him? I don't think so from what I've seen, but I am not involved in the investigation, and I always caution that we wait until all the details and facts come out.
All right. So here's the problem with Wray, and being somewhat more forthright in this investigation into the failed assassination attempt than say he has been about January 6th. There's not really, he didn't really provide detail, and to defend him a bit, he didn't get pressed to provide sort of the structure of how the investigation is going to proceed the way that he should have been. And I mean, just going back, I mean, it's not just his, sort of bull jive about what he did or did not observe about Biden. I mean, it seems pretty, unless he was, getting him at just that sweet spot every morning when they visited. I don't know. But he still won't tell us anything about January 6th. He still has he has no idea if there were FBI agents on the ground January 6th, how many there were. He like, this is one of the most egregious efforts at misinformation, a favorite word, because of course he has to know, or he can easily get access to that information. He's just not going to tell us. And the treatment now, especially the disparate treatment of so many people prosecuted on January 6th, it demands a lot more accounting from Christopher Wray than we've gotten. And it's sort of like that in particular, in addition to other massive FBI failures and questionable conduct, the raid at Mar-a-Lago, which Trump mentioned, the raid of that Pennsylvania dad who was protecting his son peacefully outside an abortion clinic, basically, and charges were dropped and so forth. They do the SEAL Team 6 raid, ridiculous. But January 6th in particular, I mean, that to me, that colors everything else that we hear from Wray, because he has been so, maybe dishonest is too strong a word, but unforthcoming, knowingly not telling us information that he has.
Dan, strong statements, and here's what I'll say. I appreciate where you're coming from. I don't necessarily disagree with you. The three of us have never met personally, but we've shared many conversations across the past year or so in regards to FBI actions. And let me say this. The FBI director is directed to, under the Constitution, and the Supreme Court of the United States have upheld this, that under Article 1, Section 8, which is enumerated powers, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, and Article 2, Section 2, and maybe 4, the U.S. Congress has direct, let me say that again, direct oversight of the FBI. And that's why they can call the director up on the Hill any time they choose to. Now, here's what frustrates me, and we saw this with the former director of the Secret Service, Director Cheadle, and we see this with the current Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. When you are asked to go up on the Hill, to be forthright and transparent, you get your butt up there. These folks have refused to do that when asked, claiming scheduling concerns, and had to be brought up via subpoena.
Right.
Now, that offends me as a U.S. citizen. That offends me as a former FBI agent. Having said that, to your point about January 6th, I don't believe any of the conspiracy theories, and here's why. And I have been the most critical media guy on the FBI, an organization I bleed blue and gold, spent half of my life in, 25 years, and bleed blue and gold. But here's my problem with the conspiracy theories. Benjamin Franklin said it best. 3 people can keep a secret, when 2 of them are dead. And when you bring somebody up like the director and you ask him questions in open session, you demand transparency, he does have to be concerned about sources and methods and violating other people's Fifth Amendment rights. So here's what Congress should do. Let's do it in private.
But it was fine. That'd be a start. But I mean, just to be clear, I didn't advance a conspiracy theory. The question is, were there FBI agents on the grounds on January 6th, and if so, how many? He was asked that question. He was asked for name. He wasn't asked for name, rank, and serial number. He wasn't asked what did John Smith do and what did Joe Jones do and stuff. Just acknowledge that there was an FBI presence there, and then if there's stuff that we have to talk about in private to get details, fine. But he wouldn't even do that.
Okay, let me clear that up. So as a guy who has worked undercover operations in the FBI for many years, mostly targeting organized crime figures, gangbangers, violent criminals, that kind of stuff. For the FBI to conduct an undercover investigation, it does require the Department of Justice's sign-off. And there's a thing called the Attorney General Guidelines that the FBI has to adhere to, because remember, the Attorney General is the FBI director's boss. So the Attorney General is in charge of the FBI and oversight.
Yeah, but he didn't say Merrick Garland won't let me tell you.
No, but I don't think, but that'd be passing the buck. Here's what I think. If you ask me, Jimmy, you're FBI director for the day, you're called up on Congress, be honest, open, transparent, allay the American public's fears, righteous fears that the FBI might have somehow been involved in what happened on that awful day on January 6th. And here's what I would say. I'm not going to tell you how many agents we had in the crowd. That is not righteous. And what does that do if I say we had 13 agents assigned, we put them on these particular posts? Because if they do that to Congress, if they share that information with Congress, somebody, whether it's on the right or the left, is going to rush out to the cameras, immediate following, and go, here's how the FBI conducts its operations. That's the concern. It's the leaks from Congress. They're not – look, I'm a sitting mayor. If I want to talk about the conduct of the village of Cornwall and Hudson, I can talk to the press, and the only people that can fire me are my constituents. He is different. He is supposedly in an apolitical position. He's supposed to be operating, following the evidence, bereft of fear, favor. But when you're called up on the Hill, Dan, I would just argue everything becomes political. And I say this to you. I'm as appalled as you are by what happened on January 6th, from the clowns that perpetrated what they did and from the overreaction and the heavy-handedness of the U.S. government, who allowed cities to be burned and police precincts to be immolated and firebombing federal courthouse in Portland, and those folks were not held to the same standard. So we're on the same sheet of music. It's just, I would argue that giving stuff to Congress without that trust and security makes that position a tough position to deal in, and I'll give the director there the benefit of the doubt, and I don't do it too often.
On Secret Service, I know the FBI investigation is focused on the would-be assassin, not so much Secret Service, but you know, here again, it's not like we don't have mission creep and blurred lines between agencies and frankly, congressional committees, since now we have a bipartisan congressional committee that's going to investigate. But do you think it would be righteous, to borrow your word, if Christopher Wray communicated whatever he learns about Secret Service planning and decision-making on that day to a congressional committee, or to any other proper authority when it comes to getting a full accounting of that failed assassination attempt?
All right, before I compliment you, and people are going to think that I'm just doing this because you asked me to join, let me say the direct answer to that is absolutely. Now, having said that, I appreciate that you made the distinction, and you obviously watched the hearing the other day, because in that session, and this is what people don't understand, the director made it clear the FBI's oversight of this investigation is not the security piece. It is simply to find out who did this. And we obviously know that now. What weaponry was used? How did the breaches happen? Were there other co-conspirators? Is there another cell involved? Was this a hate group? Are there any other threats to the American public or to President Trump and other sitting elected officials? So he made that very clear, because people are blurring the lines. Now, having said that, and I worked on protection details for 3 sitting attorney generals, Attorney General Reno, Attorney General Alberto Gonzales and Attorney General John Ashcroft across 2 different presidential administrations. I also protected 2 FBI directors, Director Louis Freeh and Director Robert Mueller. The business is a tough business. It's one of those where there can never be a failure. You can't be a baseball player and hit 250 and stick around in the Secret Service because, well, you know, at least a quarter of the folks that I protected were okay. This was an egregious failure. The president has called for an independent inquiry. The Secret Service and the OIG for the Department of Homeland Security, because remember, the Secret Service is not part of the Department of Justice. They answer under the Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI are all conducting concurrent investigations. Yes, this was a colossal failure. I've done protection details. This was a colossal failure, but I think that we have to await the investigation results to come out, and the FBI is on track to unravel and to figure out how this happened from the perpetrator's perspective, and the Secret Service and the independent inquiry and the Department of Homeland Security's inquiry are going to be related to the X's and O's in tactical response and protection.
You did a protective detail for Janet Reno?
Yes. I did it immediately following the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing when the FBI director at the time, Louis Freeh, said we're going to bump up security for her. And I was a young SWAT agent in the Brooklyn, Queens office of the FBI, and I got yanked down to D.C. to do it.
Can you tell us if she did or did not like Will Ferrell's impersonation of her on Saturday Night Live?
You know, I'm glad that you're ending this with a little bit of humor.
Well, she did appear with him eventually.
Yeah,
She wore the same blue dress and pearls.
I thought he was spot on. That was me.
I'll say this: of the 3 attorney generals that I helped protect in small capacities, she was the one that I most enjoyed working for and was the most pleasant. I'll
Really?
just leave it at that.
Oh, that's interesting. James Gagliano is a retired FBI supervisory special agent, as you've just heard. He's a doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's. He's the mayor of the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson in New York, and he's on the board of directors of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. He's a busy guy. James Gagliano, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a great weekend. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
AM 560. The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call in now! Open mic Friday!
It is that time of the week, Open Mic Friday, where we take your calls. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line with calls. We'll take your calls there with comments, compliments, concerns, criticisms, general crack pottery. We'll take it all, and we begin, as we always do, with turnkey.pro founder David Kolsak. David.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. How are you guys today?
Good.
We're great.
So today I wanted to talk about a term people might be hearing more about these days, kind of ties into your last guest. It's the term called false flag. Now, a false flag is an operation conducted by an entity with the intent of disguising the actual source of responsibility and framing another party or country. The term originates from naval warfare, where ships would fly the flag of a different nation to deceive their enemies. In contemporary discussions, the term false flag is often mentioned in the context of conspiracy theories. It's used to describe alleged covert operations by governments and organizations aiming to create a pretext for certain actions. So there are a ton of people in the world that believe we're seeing an increased amount of false flags today. The events that keep unfolding so fast, it's amazing. It's hard to keep up. Again, we ask ourselves constantly, what am I seeing? Is this real? Then you throw in AI, CGI, and the whole idea of deep fakes, and you've got a hyper environment to create false flags and make them really convincing. Some examples of what people claim to be false flags include the likes of 9/11, where terrorist attacks justified going to war with Iraq and Afghanistan, Sandy Hook school, where notably Alex Jones claimed that the 2012 incident was made to justify and push for stricter gun laws, an attempt to weaken the Second Amendment, the Boston Marathon bombing, an event to increase surveillance state, the Gulf of Tonkin, which led to gains in public support for the Vietnam War. Another example might be the Las Vegas shooting of 2017, which we know very little about and is pretty much memory hold, but it created another push for stricter gun controls. One can even make the argument that the attack on Pearl Harbor was also a false flag operation that justified us entering the World War. How about more possibilities for stricter gun control, like the Orlando nightclub shooting, the Parkland school shooting, and then you've got January 6th, which looked to pin an insurrection on Trump and disqualify him from being on the ballot. And let's talk about COVID-19, which ushered in a whole new level of social control, social distancing, masking, lockdowns, spying on your neighbors, et cetera, and don't forget about the Titanic. My point is that we're in the middle of an information war.
Everything's a false flag. Everything that's ever happened in human history is a false flag. Okay, all right, go ahead.
My point is we're in the middle of an information war, and we need to be careful to use caution when we're interpreting what we see and how we react. Remember how you felt after 9/11? You know, how unified the country became, how ginned up our emotions were to get revenge, regardless of what you think, if 9/11 was a false flag or not. People died. A lot of people died. But in the eyes of the elite and powerful, lives lost are justified to their ends. So remember that they look at us as useless eaters who should own nothing and be happy. So in fact, most, if not all, false flags kill innocent people. So in my opinion, it's important to understand the term false flag doesn't mean the actions are false. They're genuinely real, and those events, however horrific, are meant to elicit a certain response. And it seems now everyone is more skeptical of what they're being told, and that's a good thing. Another thing that I've noticed is most of these alleged false flags usually lead to we the people losing rights and privileges. Look at the shoe bomber, and then remember him the next time you have to take your belt and shoes off at TSA. In my opinion, all of these false flag operations are carried out by bad guys to distract your attention or justify something like going to war. Now let's switch to the topic du jour, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, right? A lot of things with this situation don't make a lot of sense. When I first saw the footage of this event, I was glad that Trump was just nicked, and I was saddened by the loss of the family man, Mr. Comparatori. Such a shame and so senseless. However, as I rewound the footage and I looked closely, there were really interesting things that I noticed. First off, I cut my ear shaving one time. And it bled a lot. It bled for hours and hours. I couldn't get it to stop bleeding. Trump got hit by a bullet, and there was very little blood. Secondly, we all saw the utter incompetence of the Secret Service and how short and female a lot of them were. It looked like Keystone Cops. We looked at the crowd behind them and their reactions. Some ducked. Some got their phones out and started filming. One shot seemed to take out the hydraulics of the forklift behind creating this fluid, this hydraulic fluid mist. It was chaos. Then after the Secret Service covered him on the ground, they let him stand up. He got his shoes, and then he stood up 60 seconds after being shot at and took that iconic photo. How could he know that there weren't other shooters? I would call that Secret Service reckless for even letting him stand. It was so strange. I remember when Reagan was shot in the 80s, and the Secret Service covered him up and got him in the car quickly. There was no time for a photo op. There's no way he should have been allowed to do that. And compound that with a whizzing bullet photo that was released almost instantly. That photo coming out from the same photographer who shot the photo on 9/11 where Bush gets the news that the Twin Towers have been attacked is puzzling. And his camera was set to shoot 8,000 frames per second. So, and CNN, who never broadcast a single Trump rally, was there. Good news is now CNN has to broadcast every rally from here on out. And then you've got the former, recently resigned director of Secret Service say under oath that it was a single shooter, even though the FBI investigation was still ongoing. And as the days go by, it looks pretty bad for the Secret Service. So either it was an inside job or incompetence or a mixture of both. So in my mind, whether it's a false flag or not, there are consequences. If the bad guys got the result they wanted, a dead Trump, there would have been consequences that I'm guessing would have been really bad for the country. If the good guys got the result they wanted, which was a missed bullet, Trump's popularity soars and he becomes an instant living martyr. Now go back and look at that footage yourself and ask yourself this question. Is this the first time the good guys actually staged a false flag? Maybe. At very least, be aware that we the people are easily manipulated. We're humans. We have emotions, loyalties, families, jobs, lives, and we have eyes to see and ears to hear. We just have to take our time in digesting these kinds of events, as you may see a flood of them coming to a theater near you.
Okay.
Well, just so you know, in that film, or the film.
Thank you, David.
The video. Yeah, thanks, David. They say the shooter's dead. The shooter's dead.
Yeah. Well,
and
right.
then they got up and moved. And Trump's the one who said, wait, and then put his fist up and said, fight, fight, fight.
Honestly, I would need more time than I want to take to reply fulsomely to everything in the last 100 years as a false flag, even if it was an actual event, but then it was manipulated. Yeah, I know that's the nature of government. That's not a false flag. It's a combination of politicians seizing on the moment to expand government power. Yes. And people going along with it because we have become a society that defaults to safety. What was the watchword during COVID? Everything is safety. And so we trade our freedom for the appearance of security, sometimes real security, oftentimes the appearance of security. And we cede more of our sovereignty to government. But that's not a false flag. That's a function of culture and values. And it's not a conspiracy. It's actually readily explainable, almost on a linear line. So anyway, I mean, I'm not going to go chapter and verse on every event, but that's a misapplication of the phrase false flag to apply it to everything that David did, in my view. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Good morning, Amy and Dan. Remember 2 weeks ago, before there was an assassination attempt on Trump, and Biden wouldn't quit because Kamala Harris wasn't a good candidate? Remember that? That was just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Anyhow.
It feels like I'm talking to Cliff Clavin. What's up with that? Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So the point is that Kamala was the most liberal senator. You don't have to focus on her personality. That's a trap. Before I got married, I had one of my brothers. He shook my hand. He looked me dead in the eye. He said, "Choose your battles." And every time I keep echoes in my mind. And that's what we have to do, is we just have to choose our battles on how we're going to go after Kamala, or how the center-right people are going to go after Kamala. She's going to get a little bit of bump out of this. You factor in the fact that the media is going to be all on her side. So that's just the way it is. And I think in Illinois, what you can do to actually be effective and help Trump is there's no senatorial campaign. There's no way Trump's going to win Illinois, but increase the vote as much as you can, because if Trump got the popular vote, I think that would help. And a way to do that is get involved in a local congressional race. I'm curious what your thoughts are on Sean Casten and the fraud that he is.
Thanks for the call, Kevin. I mean, what can I tell you about the Republican Party in Illinois that I haven't already said? Nothing's changed. I'll tell you what, if anything changes, if anything gets interesting in the Republican Party, I'll be sure to report it to you. But since it hasn't, I don't have anything to say that I haven't been saying for, I don't know, the better part of a decade. Maybe more, 20 years, actually. And it's just gotten worse. And now you've gotten to this place of complete irrelevance stasis. So if anything changes, if the patient's condition improves, I'll be sure to report it. Miles in the Western Burbs.
Hi, Dan and Amy. You might have to rethink your guest list. That fellow who was talking about deference to the FBI after they lied on FISA warrants and had ex-parte communications with FISA judges and all the other stuff the FBI has done, horses out of the barn. It's too late to give deference to the FBI after all the actions they've taken on that case. And even the guy who falsified the warrant, I think he got, like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, Kevin Kleinsmith. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honest to God, we can't give deference to the FBI. There has to be oversight. And they can't continuing investigation, or they can't say the number of FBI agents for fear. Those days have to be gone, because otherwise they're going to bury us.
Thanks for the call, Miles. Larry in Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, first of all, how do you cut your ear shaving? That guy smokes way too much weed. My comment is when you had that clip about Jelly Belly, and he said he's not interested or whatever. That's like somebody walking around with 20 cheeseburgers on a tray, and he doesn't grab 6.
I did love when Trump made
Thanks
fun
for
of
the
him.
call, Larry.
She's like, have you seen this guy? He eats 4 or 5 hamburgers at a time.
He's got a hearty appetite, it would appear, from his physical presence.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mass there.
Terry, Rogers Park.
Hey, it sounds to me like Kamala Harris wants intelligent, smart people to become no smarter or prosperous than unintelligent, dumb people, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're talking about the quality of outcome comments that she's made many times over the years. Equity. Got to get everybody to the same place, and since not everybody starts in the same place, we got to help some people more than we help others.
Yeah, but what place are we going to?
Right. Well, yeah. What is everybody ends up in the same place, and how do you get there? Yeah, we don't have details on that yet. Ruth and Elgin.
Hi. David was saying that there was very little blood when Trump got shot, and I disagree with that because I remember when Trump went over it, and even before that, they said there was blood all over the place, what was on his face. But when he went down, he said then there was blood all over the place, and he asked the doctor, why is there so much blood? And the doctor said the ear really bleeds.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
Yeah.
That's what he recounted in his speech at the convention too. Yeah, that's right. Ruth, thanks for the call.
And then he had a doctor, his former physician, Ronnie Jackson, confirmed that he was shot, and the width of the bullet was the width of a penny through his upper earlobe.
Bob in Paloma, Michigan.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Earlier, I heard Kamala Harris being concerned about the freedom to vote. Well, didn't the Democrats just throw 14 million votes into the dumpster?
Well, 14 million people voted for Biden in the primaries, but
thanks
they
for
didn't
the
get who
call,
they
Bob.
voted for.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
There was
right.
a change of plan because somebody stabbed him in the back.
Well, he decided that it was time to pass the torch and so on and so forth.
Yeah, right. That was his decision after saying just, 10 days ago, I'm in it to win it, and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is not true.
Yeah,
Somebody got to him.
Obviously.
As you always said, he could take the stairs or the window.
Yeah, they had to.
What did they do?
They had to push him to the windowsill and say, "Do you really want to go out this way?" I
And
guess.
Nancy Pelosi, according to Politico, said you can do this the easy way or you could do this the hard way.
I mean, it's the they. Since I'm always critical, say they do this and they do that. Who's the they? The they is the power structure of the Democratic Party, and most importantly, more so than Barack and Michelle and Nancy and Hakeem and Chucky, the donors. The donors drove it because the donors don't just fund this particular campaign. They fund the political infrastructure that is ongoing, that is always under construction, always under expansion. And so when, Soros's kid and others say we're going to turn off the spigot, they're not just talking about for this candidate or this party for this cycle. They're saying if you do, I'm presuming they're saying this, if you do this, then you can't count on us going forward. And that puts a lot of pressure on a lot of people, right? Yeah. Paul in Worth, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Do you know the difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden?
Tell me.
Donald Trump survived the assassination attempt.
Jeez. All right. Thanks, Paul. Owen in Willowbrook.
Dan, in 2020, a lot of state election laws, I believe, were bypassed during the federal elections. And I was reading in this upcoming election in a couple of swing states in Wisconsin and Nevada, the only way to get Biden off the ballot is if he dies or mental incapacitation. If they don't plan on doing that, do you think they surpass those laws again during the next election?
Well, I mean, if a candidate steps out, he steps out. You're not, you're not under a legal mandate to run for office if you don't want to run for office at any point, obviously. And my understanding, and I don't pretend to know all the deadlines for all the states in terms of ballot access and switching candidates in and switching candidates out, but I assume the DNC chairman does, Jamie Harrison, and he was talking about the need to get Kamala's selection for VP done by August 7th because they need to get the tickets names to all of the states to make sure that they're in compliance with deadlines to make such a switch. So I understand there's time. I understand that's sort of the timeline, and so this is why we anticipate that choice coming in the next week.
You got to change those yard signs and bumper stickers.
Not well, that too.
I was reading that it was June 28th in Wisconsin.
I'll have to check that. I don't think that's the case, but I'll have to check that. Thanks for the call, Owen. Monica and Lyle.
Hi. I was just wondering, the Democrats seem to be so consumed with wanting to win the election. Is anybody worried about what's happening, to this country between now and then? I mean, nobody thought 9/11 was going to happen, and it did. So, it doesn't take much for people to do anything anymore.
You're talking about enemies, foreign or domestic?
Either or, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So I guess we're just going to be asleep at the switch again.
Thanks for the call, Monica. Yeah, I mean, well, that was the part, at least part of it was the question that Ducey put to KJP yesterday. And rest assured, Biden is the president until the end of his term, if you find that reassuring, which I doubt many people do. Linda in LaGrange.
Yes, good morning. I wanted to first of all compliment this gentleman who called about the false flag and the history and everything that he documented, if you will, about, it was just so clear and concise, and I learned a lot of things, and I'm looking at it in a new perspective now. He was like a professor that I had. I wanted to compliment him, and I hope he's out there still listening. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I also wanted to know, does anybody know about Harris's view and her policy, and what is she going to do? I got a glimpse of it already in regard to Israel. I don't think she's favorable. I think she's going to give them a really rough ride. I mean, she already met with the prime minister and did not treat him very well, apparently.
Yeah.
She acted like she was a big boss. Like, we had a frank visit.
Thanks for the call, Linda. Well, she's doing the same thing Biden was doing, which on the one hand, Israel has the right to defend itself, and we need to support them against Iranian-backed terrorist groups. On the other hand, what's happened in Gaza, meaning Israel's prosecution of the campaign against Hamas, is very disturbing because she's just posturing for constituencies the Democrats need and usually enjoy in large numbers. The Jews, American Jews on the one hand, and Muslim Americans on the other. That's what they've been doing. They've been double talking this issue since October 7th, and that's what Kamala's continue to do. But do you think Bibi Netanyahu believes that President Kamala would act in the best interest of Israel? And support Israel the way that the America normally has? No, I think he recognizes exactly what she is. Netanyahu's too sharp a guy to not. And more American Jews might want to consider that too. John in Peatone.
Hi there. I listen to all this stuff, and what people don't realize, and I'm military, the CIA works in the very same ways that this whole operation went down in this assassination attempt. They find the people that are easy to go after to prime. And one thing for sure, all of this stuff with the FBI involved, I don't trust them either. There's no way that they were going to kill that sniper until he either succeeded or didn't succeed. The CIA had to have him dead so that nothing else happened. Wake up, America. The one thing that's got to happen is all three levels of all the alphabet group needs to be gotten rid of. And they're going to try again against Trump. They're going to try. And that's wake up. CIA operative.
All right, John. I disagree with you. There's not any evidence at this point to support that claim. It is much more likely, in my view, what you actually saw, evidence of the level of competence, like that that Barney Fife routine that the one Homeland Security officer was doing when they removed Trump from the platform and into the car, trying to holster a gun. Then the same thing at the hospital. Again, people can't believe these government agencies that they probably at one time revered are as incompetent as they are. They are. They are. Kakistocracy, identity politics, personnel decisions that are not based on merit, and you can destroy any agency from within. You think Ali Mayorkas is particularly competent?
No.
Right. So I mean, pick an agency, any agency.
Toy.
And I mean, and this this goes back now multiple presidencies and generations, frankly. You on the one hand, you don't trust government to do anything that is complicated. On the other hand, they flawlessly execute these Rube Goldberg schemes, and everybody gets away scot-free without any, despite, particularly in the digital age where everybody's got a camera and every video is something. They get away. I mean, they're just so flawless. Their tactical superiority is unparalleled. I mean, they're certainly, professional special forces officers and personnel that probably fit that description. Government agency heads and senior leadership, I haven't seen a lot of that. Have you? You may want to keep that in mind, the competence level, the way that leadership is selected in this country, particularly in government, but also corporate America, before you assign hyper competency and spin out these complicated conspiracy theories. Jim in Milwaukee.
Good morning. I consider you to be the Jordan Peterson of logic. I don't believe that Trump will be elected for this reason. Everybody is continuing to forget that he's got a sentencing coming up. Is there any doubt?
September 18th.
March on. Any doubt that he's going to sentence him to jail? How can this? Go ahead.
No, he could sentence. It's a possibility. It's on the table.
Well, he's gonna get a prison sentence. I'm pretty confident he's gonna get a prison sentence, but I'm highly skeptical that he will he will be taken into custody on September 18th. I think he's going to get a prison sentence, and that sentence will be stayed pending appeal, and which is basically pending the election. That's what I
didn't know. Okay, I did not know you could appeal a sentence. I thought you could have.
Yeah, he could appeal. He's going to appeal the verdict, and so the sentence, enforcement of the sentence will be stayed until the appeal of the verdict is exhausted.
Okay,
that's what I think will happen.
Just real quick, I'm worried about this so much because if it turns out he goes to jail, we got to get a candidate up there, Sass, who has time to campaign, which would be, I would say, Ron DeSantis, if that should happen.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. In fact, then now you run into the question that was raised previously about deadlines for switching out candidates' names on the ballot and so forth. September 18th. That's going to be way too close in a whole host of states. I mean, this is Trump or bust for the Republicans. Cheryl, Midway.
Hi, Dan and Amy. I think there's a voting block that Kamala didn't consider, and that's the fat vote. So she should pick JB.
Well,
okay. You're a fat ass. Go ahead to speak to that.
I'm sorry. Did you want me to comment about that?
Yeah. The first comment I guess is all fat people vote the same. I'm not sure about that.
Think so.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real cohort.
I think that his obesity does not help him because a lot of Americans look down on that.
A lot of Americans like Amy Jacobson.
No,
not
saying
you.
If you can't take care of your temple yourself, how are you going to take care of the country?
Is that your view?
Yes, Dan.
Thank you. As I just said, of course it is. Robert in Crown Point.
Good morning, guys. Love your show. I just want to say
when Kamala was asked if she ever been to the border, she replied back, "Have you been to Europe?" So she must be concerned about the country in Europe called Ukraine. Number two, I don't know no other country like the Israeli army that calls a house right before they know we're terrorist threat and warn the people to get out. And number three, American people don't know or don't understand. The Ukrainian war has been going on for at least 10 years with the government persecuting ethnic Russians. And also, Mayor Johnson is more concerned about people calling the youth thugs. He's offended at that by what they did. Thank you, guys, and have a good day.
Thank you, Robert. Speaking of BLM Brandon and silly kids, I got a note. Our friend John in Bridgeport who calls in.
Yeah. Yes.
He attempted carjacking. He was the victim of attempted carjacking on the South Side.
I'm so glad he's okay.
A friend of his messaged me. He's fine. He had a training that morning at 6 a.m., pulled out in front of his house at about 5:30 in the morning, was rammed when he got to the corner. One of the offenders jumped out of the car with a gun and yelled something. Both shot at each other numerous times, like 15 shots each, but no one hit anyone, and the bad guys took off. So he's okay, but yikes. So glad John from Bridgeport is okay, but, silly kids out there at 5:30 in the morning. Kids being silly. Yeah, that frickin' Nixon did it again.
Fault.
Frank, Board of Trade.
Such a menace to
Yeah,
society.
do you know the final disposition on that woman that was hit by that log outside of Burberry's on Michigan Avenue? Did she ever recover?
I don't. I know she was a flight attendant for United, and she was on a layover, and that's all I know. And I will stay on it. I will try to.
The last I read was
she was on life support.
Yeah.
Last I read.
I don't know. It
I'll
sounded
check
pretty.
with Pete,
It sounded pretty
PD.
skeptical, but it's a good question. Thanks for the call, Frank. I brought that up earlier today when we started the show.
I know, because he's just a crazy guy who just grabbed a log from the Christmas display at Starbucks on Michigan Avenue and ran across the street and bashed it over her head for no reason.
We were talking at the beginning of the show about this WGN reporter who had been accosted twice by the same guy at a parking lot near Ohio and State. And, her reaction to that. And then she finds out this guy's been arrested 80 times for a variety of crimes and so on and so forth. This is what happens when you level up the people that Chicago has leveled up.
At least the suspect in that case was denied bond. So
finally. Joe in Arlington Heights.
Hey, kudos to John Anthony and Charles Thomas. When they paired up, they did a great job. But nobody matches you two. I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you.
This is a poem called 2 Weeks in July, since we live in such interesting times.
Okay, minute, John.
Such a
Joe.
2 weeks it
Joe.
has been.
Go ahead, Joe. Joe?
Oh, something happened. That was
we got a minute. Go ahead.
Such a 2 weeks it has been for all my American kin. In Pennsylvania, bullets did fly, but only some admit why. Proclaiming he's a threat to democracy, insisting their truth is a necessity. So they retreat Trump is Hitler. Well, they say that won't make anyone bitter. Fortunately, the hand of fate protected the man of Marxist hate. While the candidate survived and his appeal still thrives, these masters of social strife cost our brother Corey his life. Their hatred was aided by a federal agency, only a shadow of what it used to be, could not even do the most basic things, outwitted by a kid who just passed 19. As if this horror was not enough to bear, the Marxists targeted their presidential pair to kick to the curb that old geezer, chuckling it couldn't have been easier. The votes in primaries no longer counted because Joe wasn't who Barack and Nancy wanted. The liberal elites, they've done their best to put our democracy to the test. 4 more months will be on a ride, non-stop spin from the dark side. Don't believe the media lies. They too are part of the leftist tribe. Freedom lovers of this nation must act as democracy's salvation. Don't be afraid to speak to friends and strangers you meet.
Thanks for the call, Joe.
It's former President Trump's turn. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News will sit down today with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Florida the day after President Biden's meeting, followed by Vice President Harris. Fox's